Hey fam, how you doing out there? Long time no talk, long time no hear, on your end at least, right? How y'all been doing out there? Looks like we made another episode. Hope you guys are going to enjoy this one. We made this episode well before New Mexico was on any COVID-19 lockdown at Satellite Coffee in Albuquerque. So you are going to hear a lot of noise in the background, and this was before there was any of the pandemic stuff. So I did make this a long time ago. I would say we probably cut this one in March, I think. It was really cool meeting Vicente. The man is, he goes deep on some stuff that I just didn't know about, stuff that I didn't realize was something that I should know as a New Mexican. And as a person, the guy's got a lot of like life lessons and perspectives and views on things that I think we could all learn from. He's a complex dude. So just me saying he's a flamenco artist is hard for me to really sum up everything that is Vicente without, being able to spend the next, hour and I think 50 minutes that this podcast went getting to know him. So, I learned more about New Mexico and its history than I could have ever thought I would from something like a podcast. The dude took me to school and I was eating it up. You guys can hear it. My white ass was trying to enunciate all those, Spanish words that he was saying, and I tried to keep up best I could. And I appreciate you, Vicente, for being patient with me, man. I hope most of you guys appreciate this big morsel of knowledge and culture that Vicente has dropped on us. This gift that he has bestowed upon us, has bestowed, as Vicente does. That's my best, Vicente, bestowed. Flamenco is more than a style of music. It's a culture, it's a lifestyle, it's a people. And it's also a place, or even places, if you will. And you guys are going to know exactly what I'm talking about once you listen to this masterclass in becoming you and shrugging off the Imposter Syndrome. And that's really where the deep dive, where Vicente, I think his core is really still finding himself, even this far along in the game. And that's amazing for a person that truly is pursuing greatness, and has also captured some of that greatness, I think. Such a humble guy. So let's give it up for him, Vicente Griego. I want you guys to check out his website, vicentegriego.com, and then his band is ReVoZo, ReVoZo. There's going to be links in the comments on this podcast, in the description, wherever you're listening. You should be able to find it. And of course, you can find it right now. I still have a perchofbirds.com rolling as my .com, even though People Pursuing Greatness is the name of the podcast. So I apologize, guys. Got lots of things going on in life, so I just hadn't gotten to it yet. But I finally got to a point where I can wrap up this episode and put it out, and then I have some more lined up. So hopefully I can start popping some stuff out. I'd like to hit it every 2 weeks. I know I said that literally 6 months ago. But of course, COVID happened. Lots of family stuff. My wife is now a registered nurse. All right. We put a cap on a 4-year effort. So yeah, congratulations to my babe. And of course, now I have a little bit more free time. So I hope to be able to put out some more content for you guys. I hope you guys enjoy it. Soon it will be peoplepursuinggreatness.com, or possibly ppgpodcast.com. So I will let you guys know where that's at on social media. I took down my Patreon. Just not a big fan of Patreon anymore, so I'm just not going to use that platform. I'm probably going to make a couple of shirts and hoodies. They're going to be real basic, but if you guys want to support the podcast, that's probably the best way, beyond subscribing and sharing, and of course, giving me some reviews on iTunes. So either way, I hope you guys enjoy the episode, and you guys keep pursuing that greatness out there. Cheers. People pursuing greatness. Bye. We'll see you. So we're just kicking this thing off, and we're watching Quinn go out she's going out the door on us. She's leaving us behind, man.
Quinn.
She was our guest hanging out here with Vicente.
Yeah, thanks for spending a second with us, Quinn. We're glad you're here. You're a huge inspiration for podcasting, talking lots of smack. Lying a little bit, but now I'm ready to get to the truth.
So what's the haps, Mr. Vicente Griego? Thank you for coming on, brother.
Oh, thank you for having me. Yeah, it's good to meet you, primo.
Yeah, same here, man. So we're over here at Satellite Coffee Shop. We're this is my second episode of People Pursuing Greatness. So I switched away from A Perch of Birds, and I greatly appreciate you coming on.
Well, good. I'm glad you got the first one over with.
Yeah, man. Dude. First one was a big learning experience. So good to go. So your claim to fame your greatness that you pursue is since what, 1992, and I'm guessing since before that you have been a flamenco vocalist.
Well, I've been pursuing mediocrity when it comes to flamenco. To be honest, I consider myself a huge aficionado. I honestly am getting closer to mediocrity than I've ever been. I think that's a good way to get a little bit closer to greatness. I think we become greater every day, but I don't know if I have any goal in mind about getting to that greatness. I just want to live another day in the life, learn another lesson, and
in the same breath,
could
we agree that maybe greatness could be that you're becoming comfortable with what it is that you're good at?
You know, that greatness, I've thought about, I mean, because, it's in this art form, to me anyway, just sucking a little bit less every day makes me feel really great.
That's awesome.
And not to mention that the greatness is actually the art form itself.
Right.
And so
people that have laid the bricks before you.
Absolutely.
For the past.
We stand on their shoulders, and we stand on the shoulders of people who have survived and thrived and resisted in history. And to me, greatness is to be able to survive and speak your language and know your people and know other people and just keep being blessed, because I don't think that we're really solely responsible for good things happening.
Right. No, like you said, we kind of built off of the shoulders of other people that have done it before us. I mean, this podcast, like, I wouldn't know how to fucking put this into a box or form it or present it without having seen other people do it beforehand. I don't think. Maybe I would have figured it out. And I'm kind of jumping ahead of my questions when I say this.
I appreciate that, because it takes a lot of pressure off knowing that it's already been done. Yeah. Everything has already been done another way, maybe. Yeah. But somebody's done something like it, and we can embrace that and accept a gift from somebody else. You know, I know people have original ideas, but I think it's ridiculous to fight about original ideas, because like, I really believe that I invented Bermuda shorts in the 70s. And then everybody else started all of a sudden copying me, all around the world, though.
Like, y'all owe me something.
I was like 7 years old, and I was sure that I had that first idea, man. And then now that I'm my age, I see that, that was from the 40s.
Yeah.
Maybe the Greeks and the Visigoths did it too. So
they might have had color.
Yeah.
They're always like shown wearing like the white, but they might have had color. They might have been Bermuda shorts.
They had color or not, they had Bermuda shorts. And they were a little bit longer, cut it above the knee.
Yeah. Well, So when you become so great in something like Bermuda shorts, would you say that that's one of your first things that got you kind of motivated to do something different than everybody else? When you were like, damn, I got to get that new pattern out.
You know, it wasn't about the pattern. It was about the fact that all these dudes that I really respected were wearing really tight, short shorts.
Okay.
And I was a kid thinking, man, I want to have kind of longer shorts. You know what I mean?
Let things breathe.
Yeah. Well, let them breathe and be able to walk a little bit differently. We don't need to all look like we're trying to emulate Richard Simmons.
Right.
That
was the thing,
that
too,
wasn't
man.
and there was.
You're going against the grain.
Even really cool vatos that I knew were wearing short shorts all the time. And
all the movies and shit.
Yeah. And so, I thought I didn't ever make a decision. I think I just put on my sister's shorts, and they were bigger than me because she was older than I was, and that's where the style got kicked off.
The color started, though. Yeah.
It all started right there, man.
Well, I think nowadays, man, it's like that's like normal, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of come back around.
Yeah, hand-me-downs are back in, man.
Yeah, the shorter they are, the more colorful they
shorter.
are.
I was thinking longer, really.
There can be, right?
Yeah.
It just kind of depends. If you get into those cats that are the what do they call them when they like the old school clothing?
Like the vintage or
there you go. We're hovering around the word.
Retros.
It's not hippie, but it's like they call them something. See, and then I'm gonna. It's not a vagabond. See, I'm thinking.
Or
of
do they wear
shit.
thermals under their shorts?
Yeah, they wear weird shit. Or they'll go to they'll find things that are literally as old as possible, and they're like, "Look at this jacket." I'm like, "Nah."
Yeah.
I like it to be a little bit rebellious, but at least be like modern-ish.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. And
so
not too short.
So enough on the shorts.
Okay, enough on style.
But you were groundbreaking in shorts, but then you also got into flamenco, right?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is I always loved the voice, and I always, I can't say I always loved the culture or cultural arts or cultural this and that. I never had, when you participate in something and you've never lived without it, you just know it.
Yeah.
And when I thought of the world or my life without it, when I left that beautiful little nest in Dixon, New Mexico, up north.
Okay.
I started thinking, man, there's something really beautiful here. They speak a language that, they speak a dialect of Spanish that only hear up here, and it sounds nice. It sounds like home when I hear it.
Yeah.
And, I before I was touring or before anything, I was always kind of a drifter. And I'd find myself in other places, and I realized it's kind of cool that Oklahoma has their own English way of talking.
Right.
I like the fact that different nations of native people have their own dialect that's thousands of years old.
Sure.
And what we have is not as old, but it's cool that it's our own.
Yeah.
And so just talking about language, and then you talk about culture and traditions and
how those things meld together.
How you can be in silence with somebody who knows all those things, and you know what they're thinking based on how you grew up and the values you were taught. It's just something about being part of something a lot older.
Yeah.
That makes you want to do at first.
I like how you put that. Yeah.
Something newer.
Yeah.
A modern version of that, because that's what we always do, right?
Kind of like we were talking about before we turned on the podcast, kind of something old and then find a way to fit it into modern at the time.
Right. Now
sure.
you hear a lot of people in New Mexico, the old schoolers, speaking English, Spanish. They speak English, but they speak Spanish in English.
Okay.
Right?
It's like Spanglish.
Like some people, a lot of Spanglish, but also the tenses and the way people say things is really the way it's said in Spanish, but told in English. Because these are guys who maybe don't speak Spanish anymore.
Right.
But they're still speaking Spanish, because when they're saying something like, get down from the car.
Yeah. Okay.
Right? That's not a mistake. They're speaking Spanish.
That's very
because
Burke.
in Spanish, you'll say, bájate del carro.
Okay.
And by the way, bájate del carro means get off the horse-drawn wagon.
Huh.
Because the modern word for car in Spanish is coche.
Coche. Okay.
But we speak old school.
So it's not carro.
Yeah.
I always said it wrong when I said
it. Carro is a horse-drawn wagon.
Okay.
So see, it's always going back to a reference of the old school. There's like an echo that follows us around. And I respect people that speak that way, because whether they know it or not, and it doesn't matter whether they know it, it's an act of resistance.
I like
I was in Birmingham, Alabama, and after a show, this lady came up to talk to me. And, the South, I always learn a lot of lessons all over the country, but the South seems to be full of them.
Okay.
So I'm in Birmingham.
He says with a smile.
Oh, yeah, no, for sure, man. And a lady came up after the show and said, well, that was a wonderful show. And, wherever you're from, is that the way they sing? That's so beautiful. And I talked to her for a while, and she said, so where are you from? I said, I'm from here. I'm from New Mexico. But, New Mexico is in the United States. And she knew that.
Yeah.
And she said, well, yeah, but you weren't born in the United States because you have an accent.
Really?
As she says in her accent.
Yeah.
And I looked at her and I said, the reason that I speak with an accent, like everybody else that I grew up with, is that to us, we don't have an accent. This is the way we talk where I'm from.
You have an accent, lady.
It's because my people remain unconquered.
I like that.
And she looked at me and said, yeah, that's true. I guess I do have an accent too. So I guess if we can accept each other for being different, I think we have a better chance at surviving in this experience.
That's interesting.
I really, really don't think that the old model of homogenizing everything and becoming zero-centric and just everybody falling in line with one
globalization.
All of that.
Idea.
I'm not down with that, man.
Yeah.
I really want people to be who they're from.
Yeah.
Where they're from. It's cool with me. You
Represent
know what I
that.
mean? And you don't have to believe the way I believe.
Yeah.
I believe the way I believe, and nobody's going to change me unless I'm meant to be changed. I also give myself to be open to change and learn. But, I mean, when I meet a person from Birmingham, Alabama, and they speak like they're from Birmingham, and they feel like they don't need to change that to accommodate me, that means that they have welcomed me into their own home of their being, of who they are, right? And so I feel like that same way in New Mexico. I don't think that we need to really feel, and I've noticed even in my family, even in myself, sometimes we feel like maybe we should be careful speaking Spanish in public, or maybe
really.
Well, yeah. I mean, I've been asked to stop speaking Spanish in public in southern New Mexico in Hobbs, but that's okay. We handled it, and I also just think to myself, well, I think it's cool that we speak Spanish, but we also speak, English. We also speak Spanish, and people speak different Native American dialects. And when I'm hanging out in Vancouver, and there's a lot of Chinese people that I hang out with there, I tell them, don't stop talking Chinese, please. I spend all year and I don't get to hear that language.
That's what I was going to say. I'd be super curious to hear somebody speaking
let me
Mandarin
hear your
or
own
something.
language.
Like, bro,
what's
what
wrong
are you
with
asking?
that?
You're asking for noodles? Tell me how to say that.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Or let me just shut my mouth and listen.
Sure.
Sometimes I think about it. People come up after the show, and they're very well-meaning people. They'll come up in Santa Fe a lot, especially I work at El Farol, beautiful high-end restaurant and a really cool flamenco show. And
people that are seeking that.
And a really deep tradition. They started flamenco there in the 60s, man. And, there's different places. Now we do flamenco in Albuquerque. There's a new spot in Hotel Albuquerque.
Okay.
That I was just telling. What was her name?
Oh, we just got it. Was it Quinn?
Quinn, loco.
Quinn, right?
She was a diamond thief, huh?
She got extra red when she was talking to you.
I was trying to tell her that I was the diamond. And she walked away, and I'm gone. This is no longer this young man in front of you, brother.
She even knew some Spanish.
She hit me hard with it, too. Academic Spanish, loco. She was trying to see if I knew what those words meant, and the truth
she was
is,
enunciating,
man.
Bro.
Yeah, she was, bro. She threw it down. Little did she know that we speak the opposite, man. We speak clipped, cut, short Spanish.
Real short. She kept up, though.
Yeah. No,
you made her nice
good.
and red before she left.
I know.
She was a sweetheart.
Oh,
She'll probably come see you.
Yeah, no, Quinn, this is dedicated to you, this next 3-second pause. Thank you.
And there it is.
A moment of silence for a diamond thief.
So you went through the South, and you learned some lessons there. And
well, everywhere I've been, you learn cultural lessons everywhere. How different people are. It's not only a language; it's like an entire way of being.
Yeah.
Some cultures it's impolite to look when you shake somebody's hand and look them in the eye. It's rude. Other cultures, if you look somebody in the eye, you're totally offending them. You know, and some people
that's an act of war.
Or like witchcraft or something. You know what I mean? Some people you're not supposed to show. Asian people don't like you to touch their hands,
right?
And because I think it's because people were so there. I don't know. I always think it comes back to the samurais, man. People were so well trained in martial arts. You could touch somebody's hand and shut down their liver, right?
Right.
So a nice polite bow is cool.
That's some heavy shit.
That's
come back with an acupuncture needle when you go to shake a hand.
Yeah,
and you just turn off.
Hit the bladder spot and make them piss their pants or something like that. But anyway, it's a matter of respect. You know what I mean?
Have you found a place that stood out to you?
Yeah. Oh man. A lot of places stood out to me, but as far as opposite land that I live in, I like going to places where there's, because if I want what I'm about, I'll go home.
Yeah,
I'll go hang out with my homies because that's where I feel really good.
Right.
And I know everything, and everybody I know we've understood each other for 400 years. We know that.
Right.
I feel good going. That's the place I like to go. But when I go to opposite land, you know how people come to New Mexico to see some flamenco or some native dancing.
Right. They want to go to Taos to see the turquoise, and they want to do the whole New Mexico.
I like
thing.
to go to New England to have a look at the New Englanders, man. and I like to especially hang out in other neighborhoods where are places where we're from, but let's say North Boston, for instance.
Okay.
Italian town. It's all Italian people.
Huh.
And they don't know they have accents.
Right.
And yet you walk in. Yeah.
What are you looking at, guy?
Oh, no, man. The Italian guys they're talking straight Italiano.
Okay.
And then I go, of course, that's the way you speak when you're an American. So and then, of course, we're getting back to the Irish guys.
Right.
Those dudes are Chicanos, man. They're redheaded Chicanos, a bunch of them, and they're tough. I see them get in fights outside the bar. Yeah. I see them,
they could drink tequila with the next Chicano.
Taking shots with each other, and the camaraderie. And Jimmy, come on in here, and everybody looks and talks to Jimmy and gives them
and they respect the family names real strongly.
Yeah, they do, and they heckle each other. And we're the O'Reillys. Nobody's gonna mess with the O'Reillys here. I'm like, wow, when did the O'Reillys get so tough, man? So that's one place that really, really impressed me.
Stood out to you?
It stood out to me because there's culture all over the place, man, everywhere in this country. I think the absence of culture was the biggest sham. The white race was created. There's no white race.
Right.
That's why
they stole shit from everybody.
Well, no, they sold their own shit out.
Sure.
When a person tells you, oh, you know what, you shouldn't be a Chicano, you should be a Hispanic because they're American. I'm like, I'm not willing to make the trade you did, because when they tell me, like, I've been fighting in Facebook groups lately. That's the arena, and I promised myself I wouldn't do that. But one day I took the bait. Because there was some discussion about race, and I think people need to talk about race. I don't think it needs to be like a taboo thing or a bad word.
Right.
But I did want to drive the point home, because everybody who's saying you're in America, speak English, and including people with names of Spanish descent or Chicano people or Mexicanos or Puerto Ricanos. Some people were saying that, and my only question to each one of them was, do you speak Spanish?
Yeah.
And every single one of those people doesn't know how.
Wow.
And that's their answer that they're trying to push on us.
Right.
Those of us that still do.
And if they did, I wonder if the situation would be different, because you see that
absolutely.
a lot in like viral videos.
My survey is
like
100%. 100% of everybody who's like me, who still, thank God my family speaks their language, and I grew up speaking English and Spanish at the same time where I'm from. I'm in northern New Mexico.
Yeah.
So like really nobody's going to go up there and try and tell us not to speak our language.
It's kind of
our poor
land.
things, man, if they do that.
Yeah.
But what a gift, what a resistance to assimilation and acculturation. But somebody who's willing to vote for Trump.
Okay.
I'll talk about my own people, because you can't talk about other people's people. I'll talk about mine.
Yeah.
My people who vote Trump. I would bet that the majority of them don't speak Spanish.
Right.
And those people that understand how wrong that is against us and every other human being on the planet, other than the homogenized people whose culture has been erased,
right,
they speak their language. So my theory is that is my theory is that in order to really heal this problem, people need to go back to what they know, or find it, or seek it, or at least value it. Before there were no white people.
Right.
There was Irish people. There were Jewish people. There were Italianos.
Yeah.
There were some Chicanos.
Romanian, Russian. They came. They're Europeans.
Yeah, and the German. Like German people. Yeah, German people don't tell you I'm white. No, they don't know that. Man, they're Germans. Well, and they're different than in the Swiss and their neighbors, right?
Well, it's been laid down. I mean, it all falls under the word Caucasian, bro. I mean,
right.
You know what I mean?
Well, that's that creation. And so that was that. I mean, as we know, that was. I mean, why are we talking about whiteness? I'm not trying to get on white people.
No,
I
got you. No, but you're right. I mean,
like, it is that white people can have that too.
Yeah,
and we need to also allow white people to have that.
But you're right in saying that, because like when you go to claim a census or even a fucking job application, you have one box. You're either white or non-white. You know what I mean? And what does white encompass? You don't get to say that you're. Latino or I guess, European, but then in this sense would be German, or, I did a 23andMe test. That's what I was talking about.
Yeah, that's how we ended up on this.
Yeah.
I'm trying not to get so heavy on you, bro. Let's see.
No. So I did a 23andMe test, and I was surprised. Like, if you, for you guys listening that know me or have seen me, I'm a 6 foot tall white dude, right? Brown eyes, brown hair. You would have never thought that I'm actually like 15%, or I'm 40% white, which makes sense, right? Which was European. So I say white, but I mean, it was a mixture of England and literally like Manchester and London. That's where the majority of my DNA came from. So I'm going to say white, sure, but it's English, right?
Yeah.
We're going to try to get down to it. And then additionally, 15% European, they said, which I guess kind of superseded being English. So to me, the way that it broke out was, it said it was like Switzerland, Norway. It was talking about France. It was talking about those places, and then 15% Spain and Portuguese. So I was curious about that, because I wouldn't have never thought that I was Spanish. Well, let's fast forward like 1,000 little clicks that I did once I figured out this 23andMe thing. I've never met my dad in my life, right? And this is something that I'm announcing to all you guys as well that are listening. But so I go to meet my dad. Come to find out, I'm a Rodriguez. That was my surname on my dad's side. So I'm Morgan Christian. Hello. That's what I've been named for 32 years. Wow. But I find my dad, and he's a Rodriguez. Yeah. Come to find out, he's a Rodriguez that's been in Santa Fe for over 600 years, 400 years, something like that.
I think you're probably my cousin.
So I thought it was hilarious, because at the end of the day, I go to meet my family. We're all hanging out at Tomasita's in Santa Fe, and we're there, and the mariachis come out. And while the mariachis come out, my grandfather, who I'd never met, is sitting there, and my whole family's talking to me, and they say, well, little did you know, your whole family is a long line of mariachis. Wow. I said, what? I said, my white ass has got some mariachi in there, you know? Cool, apparently my grandfather hung out or had played music with a couple of the OGs that were actually there playing a live show, doing actual, playing, mariachi music, like live. And my whole family starts busting out singing. And I just thought it was the most insane thing because I would have never thought in a million years that I had that little, so just like you said, I always threw myself into that box of like kind of just being
what
white.
A gift, man.
Yeah. And like 60 some odd plus family members that are now in my life, including my dad and my 4 siblings. Yeah. Shout out to all you guys. I know you guys are listening. What's up? But it was just really cool because at the end of the day, I found out that I'm not just this thing that I can just be loped into. I think if anybody did the fucking DNA test, anybody in this room, they would find out that they're all over the map. Yeah. I mean, humans aren't purebred. You know what I mean?
We're human beings. I mean, that's really what we are, man.
Yeah.
And then from there, we're mixed up with everybody. That's why it's, like they say, be careful what you say because you never know who you're sitting next to. I say, yes, you do. It's probably your cousin.
Right. Somewhere down the line, bro. Kissing your cousin over there.
Yeah. Well, so there's that.
Right. So with all the stuff that you feel passionate about, which I didn't even know that, and that's awesome that you brought that up because I feel like that's an awesome segue into it. Yeah. You have this insane passion in your voice, which I think that if you're going to correctly represent flamenco, I don't think that you could do it without that kind of passion. Do you feel like, just specifically from what you're saying, that you're trying to represent your heritage as well as flamenco as a whole, like through your voice? Because I mean, I could tell that you mean every bit of that shit. You're not doing none of it none of it is done half-heartedly or like you're just hitting a hook or a bridge in a song, every bit of that.
There's none of that.
There's no need for
that.
Yeah.
It's like playing the trumpet, man. You can't hide.
Yeah.
There's no place to hide.
You got to be on
in
it.
Singing.
The whole thing.
Yeah, if you are or you're not.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean like there's like some standard to be measured with a gadget or a device. But, if you give a kid a lollipop and that lollipop is bitter, they don't need to know the equation of science that tells you how much sugar and how much poison is in it.
To make it bitter.
They can just taste it to say, this candy is good and it tastes right.
Right.
Or this candy is bitter and I'm not taking it.
So you don't want people to be able to call bullshit on something that
exactly.
you are
That's
not
it. That's what we're afraid
like
of.
That. Yeah.
Is looking like a fake or a poser, man. That to me is one of. I mean, so it's some of it is what we're trying to achieve, but most of it is what we're hiding.
Sure.
Right. I mean, to me, that's what art is. It's the removal of substance.
The removal of ego.
I feel like I'm not building like I don't feel like a potter when I'm singing. I don't feel like I'm taking material and making something out of nothing. I feel like everything's already there, and I'm tapping into it and taking away things that don't belong there.
That's legit.
And so that's the way I believe you can stay true. And some of those things that you got to remove, like you say, are ego.
Yeah.
Some of those things are shame. Some of those things are insecurity.
Like do you feel like
all the parasites and pesticides.
Like that imposter syndrome where you feel like, you say, I'm doing air quotes for you guys that can't see me, but like you say flamenco singer, but then you when you go on the mic, you don't want to be seen as an imposter. So I know that. So would you say that you got some imposter syndrome? Like sometimes you feel like, maybe I'm just saying that, but I need to represent that, right?
Well, no, I mean, I think that's something that you got to consider every minute. I think when you wake up in the morning, it's not something you consciously think of, but it's something that you should be very aware of.
Sure.
Because somebody who doesn't think about that stuff, they get overtaken by all the things that don't belong there.
Sure, like envy, ego and shit like
jealousy,
that. Sure.
Hatred, competition.
Sure.
Some people are singing, trying to be better than somebody else and
winning
trying to climb. And I mean, we should have competition, but you shouldn't be worried about that. You should be worried about turning inward, right?
Right.
Like to me, the whole thing is about opening and flowing. It's open and flow every day. And letting all of these things, like I don't want this to me the biggest thing is doubt. Duda. If you have doubt in your art, you're gonna have chinks in your armor. And they're gonna get you.
I like how you put that shit.
So you know what? I don't have any doubt when it's time to throw down.
Yeah.
But I have doubt all day long before I sit at the mic. And what I do to work on my doubt is I study, I practice, I get to know myself. I make sure I know my people. I make sure that I'm treating people respectfully and with love. I make sure I keep my ego in check and I don't ever covet what somebody else has. That's how I practice getting the chinks out of my armor.
That's huge.
Because there's nothing wrong with knowing that it's there.
Yeah.
What you got to do is deal with it and not manifest that.
Fuck, I want you guys all to rewind that shit and play it like 3 times, please. Because that was perfect, bro. That was perfect. How do you, I mean, when you go up there, do you feel like you're representing the people that came before you? Because I saw that you trained under some folks. I didn't get their names written down, but I know that you trained with some folks, right?
Yeah,
Like
that's the interesting thing is you have to be... I believe as an artist, you have to be completely yourself. But like we were talking before we started recording, nobody really is only themselves. You stand on the shoulders of these people who are ahead of you.
Yeah.
I have my teachers ahead of me. I have my own people that I grew up with. You know, on my mom's side, my grandfather was a great singer of the Comanche tradition of the Genízaro people of New Mexico.
Huh.
And I remember because the natural progression was to become a dancer, so they would have the native dancing, and on Dia de los Manueles was the main day. It's always been done, the past 400 years. These were captive people who were traded for Spanish pots and pans, and they got a land grant on the south of Taos, what's now called Ranchos and Talpa.
Okay.
And Arroyo Hondo is part of that La Serna land grant. So that was served as a buffer that was given by the King of Spain to these Genízaro families, people who were given to other families who were, Spanish or Hispanic families in the middle, Mexicano families. They were traded and sold into these families.
Wow.
And they were brought up as family members, really. But they were kind of also like servants in a way.
They're like slaves, essentially.
And so they married each other. And they would receive a piece of land. That's where all my family lives on my mom's side.
Wow.
They're called Genízaro people in the south of it. They're all over New Mexico. There's a history of.
I was always reading it as Genizaro. I'm saying it wrong.
Well, Genízaro, yeah.
Genízaro.
Yeah,
okay, I'm supposed to have Moises Gonzalez on here. I'm supposed to have him on here soon. Yeah,
Moises Gonzalez,
so
he's my boy right there.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. And my family, who's Genízaros from Taos, are Gonzalez with an S.
Genízaro. Am I saying
Genízaro. But you're saying it right because in English it's Janissary.
Janissary. Okay.
Right? Yeah,
okay.
But
I felt way off. I was like,
but your sounds French. Janissaro, monsieur. But yeah, no. So anyway, that tradition was that song. Was an act of resistance, assimilation into becoming totally Spaniard.
Right.
And so funny how I'm taking it back the other way and becoming a flamenco singer, but it's because
which is essentially
related.
Spanish in origin.
Well, gypsy.
Gypsy, okay.
Yeah, so,
So they were the outsiders to the Spaniards.
That was also their resistance.
Wow,
yeah.
okay.
So I remember, you would have to dance for most of your life and get in shape and learn the dances and the songs and the places where the drum cuts, and they're so deep. And
flamenco is what you're saying.
For flamenco.
Okay.
And for Indian dancing.
Okay.
For the Comanche dance. And my grandfather, Nelson Gonzalez, and the whole Gonzalez clan, they were the I know for sure they were the best singers around.
Wow.
And I gravitated to the singers. You weren't supposed to just go and hang out with the singers. You had to go put in your time dancing, or stand out with the public and the rest of it.
Right.
I mean, we were all part of that ceremony that happened. Right.
You're supposed to be old hat on dancing and shit before you graduate.
Yeah.
Okay.
I graduated as soon as I was old enough to stick my fingers in his bootstraps, and he would tap the rhythm with his legs, and I thought it was hilarious because I could ride that rhythm all day long.
Yeah.
And the way they would sing, man, when I heard flamenco, it had so much to do with the way the voice moves the dance.
Right.
So I think that was something that was a gift to me.
A lot of
just by living it and by seeing it and hearing it. The voice didn't seem weird to me. When people hear flamenco for the first time, they think, oh, that's really yelling or it's guttural. To me, it sounded so natural.
I like the emotion behind it. That's Absolutely. The thing that I like. I like to feel like the build up to it, and then the parts where I almost wouldn't know unless I was like, I don't need to necessarily know the words you're saying, right? I don't speak Spanish, right? As much as I know bits of Spanish, but when you speak in Spanish, I can feel the build up in your emotion, and this shit here that Vicente's building up is important comparatively to maybe the beginning or like the middle or something in there. This part's important because it's done with such grace and with such passion that was what I was like, oh, this guy, this guy's got it, because I could feel it.
Well,
You know what I mean?
brother.
And I think
Thank
that's because I listen to a lot of fucking music except for country. No offense to y'all, but like if I get chills on my body, then I feel emotionally connected to it, and I got that instantly. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
even
chills,
even the modern stuff that you're doing, the ReVoZo stuff, because that stuff's very. Did I say it right? ReVoZo.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, and it's very.
Thanks for mentioning that.
Yeah,
man. I
for
like
sure,
that
dude.
band,
Yeah,
man.
it's very cool. It's very modern meets that old school, you know, and like you're finding a way to almost like let like a Quinn feel it. You know what I mean?
That's
Or,
exactly what I'm doing, man.
yeah, and to me, it's more accessible that way, because it would be hard. I have a 13-year-old, I got a 9-year-old, I got a 5-year-old. You know, if I'd be like, hey, I did this podcast, check out this music, what do you think? You know, to put it on for her, she'd be like, I don't know. You know, if it was like the real traditional, and not to talk down to the traditional, but
exactly what you mean.
it's just more accessible. You know what I mean?
Well,
and then hopefully they look into it more.
I think ReVoZo is kind of a reverse gateway, you know, because what they call el hondo,
Okay.
or el cante puro, the heavy flamenco,
Right.
It's like, for me, it was instant because I already came from that.
Yeah.
I mean, on many sides in New Mexico, our culture is it's hondo, where it's a deep culture and it's
Right.
already rancid,
kinda
and
serious,
it's
for
already
sure.
heavy, and
Yeah.
you know, the hermanos, the penitente song is deep in us, and we respect it by not just making it a commercial, outwardly sung song.
Sure.
We respect it by letting it be where it's supposed to be. But in the people who carry that, then you can go and sing a ReVoZo song. So it's still got some of that heaviness, but it's got the appeal for people. And we're not trying to create a market or reach to a market. We're just trying to make something that people that we like,
Right.
as it is. Because when I heard flamenco for the first time, I remember all the songs that were so serious as far as some of the other side of New Mexico music. And and look, now I would do anything to hear it all again and go back to the 30s or the 20s or the 1800s or the late 1700s and hear that song with the reverence that they would sing it. There's a John Robb foundation who's taking care of all of John Robb's investigations.
Okay.
And I've got a project with them. So
What is this John Robb's investigation?
John Robb Foundation. John Robb went around and he was a really great interviewer. He could bring the best out in people. And
I'm trying, Vicente. What the
and,
fuck?
oh no! He
kidding.
cataloged
I'm just
everybody,
kidding.
and he had a recording device.
Huh. And this is
way
when?
back in the day. So you know, I mean, he has recordings from the 40s to the
I see.
70s,
Okay.
or something like that. But anyway, and he was interested in the culture, so he knew by asking the right questions, he could get to the right people, and he captured a lot of that.
That's
Enrique La Madrid is also another person that when I was a child, I'd see him walking around with his recorder and having people sing into the mic. And I always thought, why is he doing that? Why does he have to be here?
Yeah.
And then when my grandfather passed away and we listened to his recordings and read our names in his book, we said, he kept us alive.
Wow.
He threw us a lifeline for eternity on this earth anyway.
Yeah.
And there's also Juan B. Rael, who's got another really great body of work in the Smithsonian. It's on the Smithsonian website of ancient singing from New Mexico, posadas, all
Really?
the traditional songs.
Damn, man.
So what
I
I'm
didn't even
working
see
on
none of
now,
that.
this is kind of a more simplified version. And by simplified, I just mean less instrumentation. A ReVoZo project called Entre Tombe y Guitarra.
Okay.
And it means in between the Indian drum and the guitar.
Okay.
That's where I'm at in this project. And I'm taking these recordings, field recordings of John Robb, let's say.
Yep.
Enrique La Madrid, Cipriano Vigil, all the old masters of that hold this knowledge, like going back and studying kung fu.
Yeah.
It's like kung fu came out of Shaolin martial arts in China.
Right.
The Shaolin had this other way of doing everything, and the kung fu was it developed from a nun
From that. Okay.
who simplified the whole version and just made only the effective moves, rather than reaching to throw a punch all the way down and coming all the way around and doing this whole thing. She only did this much,
Right.
which was just exactly to the strike point, and Wing Chun was born.
Right. So it was actually more practical.
Well, it was just simplified. Yeah,
Okay.
it was just and it was only that. So that's what I want it to be like. I want it to be like that, rather than ReVoZo, where we have like Cesar Babolé, the genius, mounting the music and horn section and all of this percussion and female vocalists and acrobats if I can help it. whatever. I'm having
A horn section.
a guitar, a cajon, and my voice. I'm taking recordings from as old as I can find them in New Mexico, and also from my own family, taking the words and running them through a flamenco formula with jazz chords.
Oh, that's what you're meaning when you were saying that
That's
earlier.
the new one called Entre Tombe y Guitarra.
So I want to, just for you guys listening, so he's talking about ReVoZo, which, do I have this right? It's ReVoZo.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can find that on YouTube and...
YouTube, coming soon to iTunes.
Okay.
And see, there's two different projects. There's like the ReVoZo music CD coming out.
Okay.
And then there's the idea of ReVoZo. It's getting commissioned through lots of other sources, but the main source will be the John Robb Foundation.
John Robb Foundation.
And
Okay, keep coming
it's
back to
coming
that.
out, Guitarra y Tombe. And it's going to be exactly that. Music of New Mexico run through a flamenco formula, interpreted by me as I would sing it, as I would sing anything else, played by a flamenco guitarist as he would interpret anything through the feeling and meter of flamenco, because there's like 32 different forms of flamenco.
Sure, because yours is your specialty is cante
Cante al baile.
Okay.
So cante flamenco is flamenco singing, and it's connected to once you call it flamenco, it's got to follow a form of the palos. The palos are like the branches of that tree. The bottom is the grandmother.
You're taking me to school. I'm loving this shit.
Yeah,
okay.
I know, it's beautiful because, there's the roots, and the roots is all of everything that existed before it became a performance art.
Okay.
Flamenco is beautiful because it was never intended to entertain kings and queens or anybody like. It was made for the people to maintain their own people.
So it was
culture.
almost. Would you say it's kind of like the Greeks and you had like the Homer types that would tell the story continuing?
Yeah, that's what it was.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, and so that and also Roma people have carried that tone and that root with them because that's all you can carry. You can't carry a stand-up bass or a piano.
Right.
Well,
and back in the day, you couldn't record fucking anything.
And you couldn't record anything.
It was
so
all about each
on.
person passing it on and telling that vocal story.
So the Roma people go throughout the world, and they take influence from the north of India where they began to wander, and go up through Africa. Go up through Morocco, cross the Strait of Gibraltar into the south of Spain. So all of that influence is already in them. Another one is they come around the eastern bloc of Europe, right? And then come back down into the south of France and end up, some of them in Barcelona, mostly in Andalusia, in the south of Spain. And so you have Polish and Hungarian and Romanian and Basque and Balkan, and you have all these roots already in that tone. And that's why you can hear something like, just one tone like that tells you an entire ancient story.
Sure.
Make a reference, everybody who's listening out there. Make sure you have a look at the Lacho Drom movie by Tony Gatliff.
Say it again.
Lacho Drom.
Lacho Drom.
And the filmmaker is Tony Gatliff.
Okay.
And he's a Roma filmmaker who made a beautiful story of the Gypsy Trail.
Okay.
And I believe that story ends in Chimayon.
Wow.
With that video that I sent you.
Yeah.
With the lowrider video and the Chicanos dancing rumba in front of the Santuario.
And the girl right in front of the archway.
That feels to me like we're picking that up, and now that flame is burning in New Mexico, because it is. Flamenco's burning hot here now. And we have a viable art that can stand up anywhere in the world with integrity.
And the time that it is now this is the time when you can almost access it from anywhere in the world for real. It's not something you say. It's like for real. I mean, the moment we hit publish here, this is going to be worldwide.
Yeah,
you know
it's a beautiful thing, and that's another thing I've got to talk about as far as flamenco goes. Flamenco used to belong to these gatekeepers who, I mean, if we talk about the way, I'm going to go off on a whole other trip here. Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
We're going to talk about privilege and privileged people who had access to the flamenco that the real primos, who are the real flamencos from this continent, didn't. And it had to do with ASVAB testing.
Now we've got to hear it.
All right. Isn't that crazy? But that's because my survey has been, I spent many years touring the U.S. and working in all the studios, Canada too, Mexico, Central America. I've been in all the studios, and all these studios are run by the gatekeepers, who are these people who, okay, let's give an example of World War II, or let's give an example of Vietnam era veterans. Guys getting out of high school take their ASVAB tests, and they get stationed in Spain. Guys who spoke good English.
Right.
The guys like me who look like all the flamencos, who speak flamenco language, who have a flamenco vibe all together in their blood, get sent to die in Vietnam. Or in the front lines in wherever we're at in Europe or in Japan.
Do you think that's a poor thing?
Well, it's
privilege, like you were saying.
It's privilege. I mean, aptitude tests were created to keep poor people on the front line and keep people who didn't have bone spurs. The next level is to get them stationed in Germany. Get them stationed in Germany or in Spain.
Sure.
So these wives of these guys, and some of these guys came back with Spanish flamenco guitars and gave lessons to all the poor Chicano kids in town around the country.
What a trip.
And these women came and moved to New York and made themselves the authority on flamenco. And now everybody, all the Mexican people, Puerto Ricans and Polish people, everybody comes to them because they had the privilege because of their husband's white privilege based on his aptitude.
Right. And they're probably his
language
husband's
aptitude.
family's background.
Well, now we would probably be different.
Yeah.
And so that's always been my running theory.
Wow.
And I could,
That's
I mean,
deep, bro.
I'm not going to name studios. I'm not going to name people. But if you look it up for yourself, anybody who's accepted in Albuquerque, most other places, anywhere you have an authority of flamenco before the past 10 years, you'll see none of them are raza. None of them are people of color. A lot of them are rich women who kind of run their studio as a hobby, and they decide who plays and who doesn't play, and who gets in the festivals, and whose video gets to go online and whose it doesn't, and they sensationalize the Spanish thing, and then they start ruling out the American board in flamenco because they know the difference because they actually lived in Moron.
Yeah.
But they lived in Moron because their husband spoke good English, and the guys who spoke Gypsy Calon failed that test and got sent to Vietnam. All of my primos, those guys who were in Vietnam.
I like how you're tiptoeing around the word racism, but do you feel like that is the largest theme of it is racism?
That's just another symptom of the same thing.
Sure, of America,
I mean, that's the same. That's the way it was created, right? Sure. I mean, if you want to talk about housing ordinances and student loans,
that subject goes deep as fuck. But I mean, I feel like that's kind of the direction.
Relates to that the same way.
Sure. Okay.
And so I'm just saying that now. Okay, so Albuquerque, New Mexico. Here's what changed. Evan Ciñas started a festival, and it's the biggest festival in the world outside of Spain. Okay. And it's called Festival Flamenco de Albuquerque. I emphasize that R just to piss everybody off who's happy that we took it out so they could pronounce it easily. That's why we say Burque. You know that, right? That's Burque is the acknowledgement of the R that was removed by the Pachucos. It's all a resistance movement. That's why they say Burque.
Okay.
You can't say Burque without saying Albuquerque.
Right.
Because Burque. That R is the secret resistance.
My suegro used to say Moriarty instead of Moriarty.
Bingo.
Yeah, and he would constantly tell me that because I'd say, hey, we're going to Moriarty. He'd be like, don't wipe that shit up. Say it. Moriarty.
Moriarty.
Okay. So this is making sense now.
I mean, like I'm from Dixon, right? But we call it El Dique.
El Dique. Okay.
And that's just our way of also making it our own because that's how we are. But actually, we still remember it used to be called San Antonio del Embudo. And then some guy that we never even met, didn't even leave us a grandkid to love, said, this township filled out the paperwork for the post office and put his own name on it and drove out of town.
Called it Dixon
and left his name like a praying. So anyway,
how do you say it again? It's not Dixon, it's what?
A dique. San Antonio del Embudo.
El Embudo.
Have a nice evening.
Y'all take it easy, guys.
So anyway, man, I'm talking about that because I'm getting to where flamenco, why it's important in Albuquerque.
Okay.
Because now there's dudes who drive their lowrider to flamenco rehearsal.
Okay.
Whereas before we had a bunch of guys who, so I mean, look, I'm grateful for anybody who went to Spain and bought a flamenco guitar and hung out with the guys in Moron and the guess what?
Put in all that effort.
Hey, effort and love, and they learned the culture and they learned the language. They came back here trying to tell us what the language was. You know what? The language we speak in northern New Mexico is the language you have to speak in flamenco. Just like if you were a blues player and you wanted to speak English like somebody from the South in Mississippi or in the Delta or Chicago blues guys, guess what? That's the dialect we speak here already. Right. So like you have to unlearn your academic Spanish if you wanna be a flamenco.
That's interesting.
Well, guess what? All of us already speak that.
So this goes beyond when a teacher, like a Spanish teacher, would say, "You need to speak this correct Spanish." This would be the Spanish that's really culturally
the Spanish that I got in trouble for speaking that got me an A in understanding, an A in comprehension, but a D in application,
right?
Conversational Spanish. All the dudes from the north, they would tell us, you need to really quit talking that way because you guys are, you're speaking the wrong kind of Spanish. Yeah. It's really pedestrian, they might say. But then you become a flamenco artist, and all of a sudden it becomes a virtue.
Sure.
And I'm like, oh, thank you, ancestors.
Because the enunciation, right, is really key.
Like if you would say, "Tu querer me ha dado,"
okay.
and in where I'm from, we say, and where you're from, in Santa, they say, "Tu querer me ha dado." We cut it short, "dado." Y tu querer me ha dado.
Okay.
It flows better, right?
Yeah.
Imagine if you sing, "Que tu querer me ha dado."
Okay.
It almost sounds ridiculous if you don't know how to flow that. And that's the Spanish that the Cubanos speak, Dominicanos,
so it's not
people in Mexico.
But you're not giving it the word slang. This isn't slang per se.
I would say dialect.
Okay, I like it.
And it is got a lot of slang too.
Before we had this fucking conversation at all, I would have thought there's literally correct Spanish and then everything else is slang. I would have never thought, man. That's cool.
I mean, that's a good thing to bring up because I mean it's like English. I mean, if we want to say what the King's English is, all of us are in this whole country are out.
We're infidels.
Yeah, we're the worst,
saying.
man. Yeah. But then I mean, I'm back to what we started talking about. I think it's cool that people in Boston talk like they're from Boston.
Yeah,
man.
pack the cat.
I think, and then you have some Canadian sounding people because of the French influence, and you have the people who sound like us because of where we're from. It's an echo. It's all these echoes that are following us around. So let me go back to this festival. It's very important. Sorry to get off subject.
No, go ahead.
This is important because this festival opened up through the University of New Mexico, and it was open to everybody, not just university students. And all of a sudden, so Evancinas opens up this festival, and people like me start getting turned on to flamenco. So now it's not, this millionaire or even a poor lady in, let's say, in New York or in North Carolina. There's a woman named Carlota Santana. All these people. There's another lady in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
They don't sound very Hispanic towns, for sure.
Well, I mean, whether they are or not, they don't have that experience and the
culture.
And they don't drive lowriders. They don't know anybody who drives a lowrider.
Right.
They know anybody who speaks Spanish.
They don't say get down.
They don't know anybody who knows our ancient dialect.
Right.
They don't. I mean, what they do have is their own culture, which I think is really cool.
Sure.
Like one thing I respect about one of the ladies, the one in Minnesota, she's part Ojibwe.
Okay.
Which is cool, and she embraced that. I was in a show where we did a show about the missionaries and that conflict, and we did it with like a Zorro theme, right? So we did a flamenco show. That was cool. I wrote lyrics for that.
That's cool.
But people like that are the gatekeepers, man. None of us get to call our own shots. And now you get to Albuquerque, New Mexico, and you walk in, and now the girls are starting to look a little bit chola. The dudes are looking smooth like pachucos. And flamenco's starting to feel like it has a home where it belongs. Like it belongs to everybody. It's an international art form.
Yeah.
Some of the best jazz in the world is in Tokyo.
Huh.
So yeah. So, I mean, because it's an international music.
Yeah.
And so if
it's like baseball's big in Japan too, and I would have never fucking thought.
Yeah, you don't have to be from St. Louis,
right?
You know what I mean, or Cuba.
Yeah.
You can also
I got
be in
you
Japan.
there.
So it's one of those things, man. It's the human expression. But I'm just talking about access now. The poor people, which is where the poor people are from, and the poor people that made the flamenco be born into this world in Andalusia, in the south of Spain, by Roma people, we're now reconnecting. And now we have, I send texts and emails and WhatsApp with other Roma people, some Gitano people, or people in the south of Spain, in Andalusia, or my friends in Madrid, or my friends in France. There's some incredible singers who are flamenco singers from the south of Spain.
Wow.
And those brothers, man, they get down. And you know what? I could bring them up to Española, and everybody's going to treat them like they would treat me.
Right.
And bring them in. Hey, primo.
That's crazy how it came full circle, that you have essentially people from that far back to today, and then here that far back to
That's
today.
what I think is beautiful, is something as harsh as the Inquisition.
Right.
And everything else that made us separate ourselves from that identity was united by a festival and technology like YouTube.
Right.
Like WhatsApp, like FaceTime.
Yeah.
And now...
like podcasts.
And like a podcast. Now we're back and forth.
Yeah.
Now we're worldwide, man.
Do you feel like now there's kind of a gold rush for that, or is it that big of a demographic to where people are just eating it up? Because you said it's kind of hot in Albuquerque. Do you feel like it's starting to pick up?
It's really hot in Albuquerque.
Yeah.
We have the biggest festival in the world outside of Spain.
Wow.
And by the way, this festival is incredible because they're bringing the top shelf of artists, and it's like, and we're here, and you know what? The artists in New Mexico are really good, and the artists around the United States are really good too.
Yeah.
And you know, it's cool because it's like, we're gonna get to play ball with the Bulls.
Yeah.
Sometimes, you know what I mean? Where we get to have
but
them
in the
come
same
into
breath,
town
they
and
probably
see
feel
them
the
play
same
ball.
way. They probably feel the same way because then they're coming back to a place where
they
it's
come
lived
back and they see our faces, and they see the way we relate to each other, and they see the word, they hear the words we use.
Yeah.
You know, and they say, I can relate with these guys. Whereas before, they were coming to America to visit. You know, they kind of sensationalized the American trip, and I'm going to go and hang out with these Americans. They didn't know the Americans were going to end up looking like themselves.
Right.
And now it's
they see
starting
some
to
of the
look that way
roots
again. Yeah,
that's cool.
They see their own roots. People who were banished during the Inquisition, people from their own blood. I'm talking about Roma people, by the way, who mixed with native people from here and kept the ways and resisted assimilation and kept our belief in family, our belief in the land, and our belief and our knowledge of animals. I mean, the whole horse culture comes from
that's
there.
all Spain.
That's where it comes from.
Yeah.
You know, we're not potato farmers. We didn't come here to plant. No, we came here and brought the knowledge of using the fragua, steelwork, metalwork, la fragua, los caballos, las herraduras, el yunque, el martillo, el fierro, el hierro, all of those things. And so it adds up when you want to sing flamenco, because guess what? That's what you sing about.
Do you think that it was, and to speak to what you just said about, like, that's what you sing about, do you think that if you go back in a time machine and you could change everything, of course we all could say that, we'd kill Hitler when he was a baby or something too, right?
Oh yeah.
But if you could go back and change, right?
Well, I would wait till he was a little bit older.
Maybe you could try to talk to him if he's still a fucker.
Kid,
yeah,
man.
You know, you gotta be like,
but I'd
are you
wait
sure?
I'd wait till he deserved and said what he needed to say to be convicted, man. I wouldn't kill Hitler when he was a baby, man.
But do you think that
somehow he became an asshole?
No,
man.
He absolutely did. Yeah,
you know what I mean.
And
but
there was a day when he just ran with it
when he was a kid. I would wait till he started with his little thinking, and I would have befriended him just to make sure that it was the right time.
Like, are you 100% sure? Like, just say it one more time.
No, I would have been
like, belt up.
yeah, like, I'm not like, so you know why I'm about to give you this treatment here, right? Like, you know why, right? Like, I'm not a killer,
right?
You are. You know what I mean? Like, how do you kill a killer? That's scary, man.
But in the same breath, do you feel like? Do you think that what's happening, including flamenco being kind of having its second coming? Do you think that would have been as meaningful if it wasn't for the Inquisition?
If it wasn't for what?
The Inquisition.
Well, I really think that however it was written was meant to be. I believe in that because, I mean, not that everyone's just meant to suffer or people are supposed to be banished, but we can't change that.
Yeah.
Now, if I could change that, even at the expense of flamenco not having such a rebellious vibe or having to survive among so much pressure and resistance, I would remove the pain from everybody's experience. If I could, we would just be we would be floating beings and live in peace and harmony, man. But the human
do you think that would reduce? Do you think that would reduce it though? Like, would that reduce the passion?
No,
like the
not at all. Not at all. Because, when I sing best is when I'm not stressed out. When I sing the most passionate and it cuts the deepest is when I'm not weeping.
When you have control of your emotions.
Where you're okay.
Okay.
People say, oh, no, it's good when you're hurting. You know what? When I'm brokenhearted and the night that I'm hurting and I have to sing, I've got to cut through that to be able to be myself to sing.
Yeah.
And so I think that in spite of all of that, people have the human experience, the human being has given the flamenco song, has given the blues, but it wasn't necessary because I won't give any credit to anybody who ever made anyone suffer. The human being is beautiful, and all of these beautiful people, in spite of being terrorized, in spite of being oppressed, have given a beautiful song to this earth.
Oh, it was fucking heavy, man. That was perfect.
Yeah, no, I believe that, man.
Well, I really can see that in when I listen to your music, because I don't know, I'm literally translating as we go. Gotta remember that I don't speak Spanish, but I feel very strongly like you're selecting lyrics because you write all your stuff, right?
I write a lot of my stuff, and as far as flamenco goes, you've got to take, it's like jazz. You got to take songs from the big book,
right, and extrapolate and make them your own.
Yeah,
right.
And so you got to get through those before you start. Now I'm ready to present what even in Spain, anybody who wanted to be a soloist had to do their school of beating behind the horses.
Well, it kind of makes sense. Like if I'm an innkeeper, right, and I want to bring on some entertainment for the night, I want to know you can do the standards,
right?
Before I hear your handwritten shit,
bingo.
Like, what do you got? You think you're good? Nah, let me just hear these 10 good songs. Do you still get that now?
Right.
Do you get that kind of shit now?
Well, you know what? If I don't have that, that's very obvious right away, man.
Yeah.
Because the forms are shaped a certain way. When they don't fit the form, they don't plug into the dance.
Okay.
And so the dancer's dancing
so
and the
well
singer's
put.
singing in the wrong place.
Yeah.
So you got to know them. And there's a lot of them, man.
Yeah.
And
so you're talking like differences in timing and speed and shit like that.
Difference in time signature, different melodic structure, different intonation, an entire different intention, because one will have the intention because its history it's a baptism song. So those songs are celebratory. This one is from a burial song, and it's a sigueria. And that song is when somebody is being buried, and it's got a reverence. And so you have somebody show up who learned the song, and they sing those lyrics, but they forgot that it's a burial song. And everybody looks at them like, why are you doing?
Yeah, why are you so energetic, bro?
Well, yeah, this
get
is
into
not
it.
the vibe of this song.
Yeah, huh?
This is a sacred song.
Yeah.
And then there's party songs, and people are trying to put a heavy spin on the party song. And so, like they say, I heard one dude say, it just doesn't go over right.
Yeah.
Because the intent is everything.
Right. And people can get that vibe. I mean, if you're there trying to have a good time and you're throwing a funeral vibe at me, I'd be like, bro, damn.
Well, and that's why we don't really like to end our shows with that one. We like to end with a party vibe.
Fuck, I'd hope so, yeah.
Because, see, it's a ceremony, man. I don't think that we're entertainers. I mean, it's okay with me because I don't like to tell people how to think or what to say. But, when people say, oh, thank you, that was great entertainment.
Yeah.
I think that people like that didn't get the whole point. I'm like, wow. Well,
it should be an experience, kind of.
Well, it should be. To me, it's a ceremony, man. To me, it's an entire ritual that gets you from the beginning to the end.
Yeah.
And people are with you when you do that. People are they're part of that. They suffer when I suffer. When I'm singing, everybody's suffering. And when I'm celebrating at the end and it's a party because we made it to the end,
everybody's up.
Guess what? Everybody's like, they want another drink. They want to kiss their lover.
Right.
They want to call their mom and tell them I love you. And so I think it's more than entertainment.
Yeah.
I mean, entertainment, I don't even think puppeteering is entertainment. I think that's somebody putting their soul in a little mannequin and making life come alive. I think that I want to respect that art form. I don't know, this thing between entertainment, you know what I mean?
Well, it's too cleaned up. It's too gentrified.
It's superficial. That's why, like look at any entertainment thing. Like on TV, you have the Entertainment Tonight, right?
Right.
That's entertainment.
Right.
TV watching, that's entertainment if you watch that kind
of stuff. But it's so sanitary comparatively to having the emotions and something kind of taboo.
Exactly.
Would
you call a boxing match entertainment? I wouldn't. No. You're watching a fight, man. That's not for a show.
Yeah.
Yes, it is a show. Yes, it's entertaining.
Right.
But there's more than that.
Right.
I would rather people call it amusement. I would rather say, man, I was amused by your show tonight. Than
I like
say
when
I
they
was
call it a
entertained.
match, because I feel like you can really say that you're comparing two humans' abilities. I like the word match.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's not as entertaining when it's slanted so hard one direction compared to the other, because it's almost sad for the other guy, and people don't snap to that. They call it entertainment at the end to almost, I don't want to use the word, but like whitewash it, where it's more like, fuck, I knew he was going to lose.
Yeah.
And like I was just cringing the whole time, and then he ends up, maybe he's the underdog and he comes back and smashes the big guy. You know what I mean? Like Diego Sanchez this last weekend, you know, when he turned around.
That was incredible,
he ends up winning, right? But you like felt the pain that he had whenever he takes a knee to the face.
Exactly.
And he knew he had to throw in the towel.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And when
you
they
were
started
all in that
swinging,
emotion.
it wasn't a show for them.
Right.
It was something way deeper than that.
Yeah, because you make it too simple to say it's entertainment.
Yeah, no, I feel that way.
Yeah.
Even when like you were talking about the mariachis that came around your table.
Yeah.
They weren't entertaining you. They weren't like little dogs riding a bicycle.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's entertaining. For me, I would be entertained by watching a little dog, like a little funny, like a little weird dog ride a bike.
Right.
Or be able to ride in circles, like or a monkey wearing a hat.
Right, I was going to say that or they do the instruments when they get monkeys doing
that. For me, no. I mean, I'm just saying. I hope people start to understand that art is an act of survival.
Yeah,
it's resistance, man. We're standing on top of the town square, screaming, "You're alive! You're still here!
Yeah,
here we are. Keep moving!
Yeah."
You have another day tomorrow.
Yeah, don't conform, goddamn.
Yeah. Hold on tight, man.
Pursue that greatness.
Love somebody.
So when you started when you started doing flamenco, you said that you had your mentors when you were real young, but who closed the gap for you? Who made you feel that, you know, where you lost that imposter syndrome? You're like, I can fucking do this, and I can be a representative for my history and for my. I mean, where was that point at?
Wow, man, that point came when I decided to abandon the fact that I had the imposter syndrome.
Okay.
I really seriously had to face myself and say, you know what? I'm going to be me with all of my faults, with all of everything I don't know. What I know.
Yeah.
Because I lived it.
Yeah.
And when I started coming at it that way, it's also because I learned how to clap and sing at the same time.
Okay.
That caused me to have freedom. That was technique. Technique set me free.
Like loosened you up?
Huh?
Like loosened you up, kind of?
Well, it kept me, because really, to be honestly, and my own teacher, El Veneno.
Okay.
He's from Caño Roto, Madrid, from a gypsy neighborhood in the north of Madrid. I toured with them, with the Jose Griego Flamenco Dance Company because of this festival. I'll tell you how much this festival changed my life.
Okay.
The second year I came.
I feel like uncultured swine. I've never fucking been.
You will now.
I'm going now.
You will now. Well, you know what? I got taken on the road with Jose Griego as a road manager for 6 years. And the singer, El Veneno, Alfonso Gavarri, took me under his arm and started telling me about singing and about the rhythms. And he told me, he said, even it's funny you call it that, the imposter syndrome, but he said, you know what, I know one thing. When I sit down, I'm going to stay on time and in tune. A tiempo y a tono.
Okay.
And from there, you don't have to like me.
That's like fucking life advice there.
That is called being impeccable.
Yeah.
That is called being blameless.
I like that.
You don't have to, because you know what? Somebody likes the color blue. Somebody likes the color red. So what, does red need to tell the blue people you guys are liars? You're fake?
Right.
No, it's a matter of choice, because it's in time and it's in tune. And if those two things are square, that's a huge piece of integrity. So to me, remember I'm telling you about this armor that we have to put on.
Yeah.
If you don't have chinks in your armor, the biggest ones you can have are your tune, your pitch, and your tiempo, your timing.
Which, if you're not paying attention to those things, then essentially your chink is your ego, because that's your ego.
Right.
Okay.
And if you're free in those things, then your technique can come through, and you're not thinking about them.
Yeah.
And when you're not thinking about something, guess what comes through? Your own natural self.
Right. That's huge, man. That's
everything.
Fucking huge.
It's everything.
Again,
man.
that's another piece I want you guys to rewind and listen to again, because that was good, man.
I also stopped trying to think that I should be something that I'm not, or couldn't be something that I can't.
Yeah.
Because everybody's different, and I mean, God could have made everybody exactly the same. He created the universe.
Yeah.
He could have made us all exactly the same, perfectly. And then there would be none of this conflict.
Right.
But he gave each one of us a choice to make to become who we're going to be. Some people have harder choices to make than others, but everybody's got to make a choice every single moment of the day. And to me, in the art, I look at it that same way. I've got to make choices every step of the way.
That's heavy.
Am I going to bite somebody else's style? Am I going to remember where I'm from and only stay with that and let that limit me so I cannot bite somebody else's style?
Right.
I'm going to be myself in the moment.
Yeah.
And I'm going to keep my rhythm clean, and I'm going to keep my pitch as right as I can.
And so you didn't, and when you did this, I mean, that's fucking huge. I mean, did you see the results of that mindset right away? Like, did you see people, like, when you go to, like, you were finally like, I'm going to fucking sing, I'm going to sing in front of people, I'm going to sing for maybe a gig. Did you feel like that was instantly seen by the people that were listening to you? Because, I mean, apparently you're successful as shit. I mean, it's not like you're not.
Thank you, hermano. Well,
Yeah,
I would like to tell you that's true,
Okay.
what you're saying. But I listened to recordings of myself from like 4 years ago, and I'm embarrassed.
It was the gear, bro.
Man.
It wasn't you. Come on.
It's been a process, man. It's not like I just opened my eyes and felt like, oh, I can live with myself.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm serious about what I said. I try to just suck a little bit less every time.
I like that.
Because I do seriously listen to my recordings from even like a year ago, and it's so scary to me that I sang that badly. But that's as good as I could do then.
Yeah.
And not that what I'm doing now is so much better, because I'm not trying to be an Olympian.
Yeah.
Because you know what? An Olympian's not going to sing into their 80s.
Right.
I'm going to sing until the day I die.
Hey,
You know what I'm saying? I'm not
yeah.
trying to race. I'm not trying to accomplish something.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be better than anybody. I'm trying to be true.
Yeah.
I'm trying to serve my community, man,
Yeah.
with my gift.
And I think at this point, it's like with this podcast, including you're teaching people. I mean, like, this is,
I believe that
like, you're
that
going out of
there's a
your
lot
way
we
to
can-
really-
we can- well, we're teaching each other,
Yeah.
for good, for better or for worse.
sure.
You know, but you know, like that video that I hope you put it on your podcast.
I'm going
Arte
to.
del
I haven't yet.
Camino,
No, I'm going to, yeah.
Yeah, you know,
I'm gonna build up
that's-
to it.
You know how, okay, well, you know, we can get there whenever you want, but that was a result of a friend of mine, Robert Gomez Hernandez. He saw that in northern New Mexico, especially in Rio Arriba County, there was a big article that came out and like what some national newspaper talking about the problem with northern New Mexico culture. And of course, what do they talk about? Drug addiction, opioids,
right,
heroin,
right.
theft, murder, all of this stuff that every other human race has.
Right.
But
in every other state, and city,
but
and
like
country.
we're you know, we're somehow like some, just, you know, it's just, you always, when you're young and people are always hitting up Rio Arriba County and this problem and that problem, and I'm like, yeah, but you know what? We have a lot of other stuff that's also not present everywhere else in the culture that is gorgeous and beautiful,
Which never gets spotlighted.
And so he said, you know what? Let's make a video, man. Let's get your band ReVoZo, write a song for me, and let's just say who we are.
Yeah.
Because you know what? That's what this experience is about.
Right. What was the name of the video?
It was called Arte del Camino.
Arte del
Andro.
Camino.
Andro. It's a gypsy word for the road.
The road.
Camino.
Camino.
You know, so Arte del Camino, ReVoZo. If you look it up on YouTube, it's a free video for everybody.
Yeah. No, it's
you know,
awesome. Yeah.
They say when you look at a civilization, you can tell their health, or you can tell their badness, or you can tell anything you want about that civilization well after they're gone by looking at their art.
Huh.
And that's why we made that video, because we're like, you know what? When in 100 years, someone's going to come back and say, who were these people? They might not read the Santa Fe New Mexicans article on northern New Mexico and opioids.
Right.
They might just look at a video
Stumble on
and
the video.
see us face to face.
Yeah.
Because if you got to know us, you'd know we are beautiful people. Everybody's a beautiful
Yeah.
people, but we are too. And we have something special.
Well, you guys have a style that's unmatched. I mean, it's very much northern New Mexico. You
Yeah,
know
it
what I
is.
mean?
It's very much northern New Mexico, and as influenced by lots of other stuff, like northern New Mexico, and you know the way this planet is now. You know, like that video. I love it because it's got lowriders. I got the
Yeah.
New Mexico Lowrider Association involved, and you know, if you look at a gypsy wagon, you see a gorgeously painted wagon with all of this Baroque embellishment in gold.
Sure.
And what does that man have? He's Vato's carrying his most precious possessions in that wagon. His familia.
Yeah. Right.
And so when those guys used to go on their wagons and on Sundays they'd meet each other, they would take a cruise and they would make wedding arrangements. They would make trades. They would trade horses.
I would have never thought of that. That's heavy.
I mean, we're an echo of that. When you see a lowrider, remember, you're looking at arte en el camino. I mean, I'm in the middle of a build right now. You heard my phone call right when you walked in.
Yeah, the polka dots.
And what was I asking for?
You're asking about vinyl polka dot.
Yeah, how do
fabric.
you get vinyl polka dot marine grade fabric?
Right.
ASAP, because I'm building my lowrider, right?
What are you building? What's the model?
77 Grand Prix.
Yeah.
Root beer brown.
Ooh.
Her name is La Foxy.
La Foxy.
She's already on airbags. And she stops, she runs. The paint job is perfect.
Oh, hell
the
yeah.
The last thing it's going to have is the interior's done. I just need to get my door panels in. And in the door panels, I'm taking out the 70s wood.
Okay.
And replacing that with the chrome outside and polka dots on the edge. Just a little touch, an echo of who I am and who we are.
Yeah.
And then one last thing, and this is important for all you listeners to know. The trunk is going to get a peacock.
Okay.
Why does every Chicano first tattoo, ever since I was a kid, I always wanted my first tattoo to be a peacock. Have you noticed that?
I have. Well, I guess I have, but I wouldn't have thought
in
of
Los
why.
Lunas.
Yeah, Las Lunas.
Oh, didn't you see a bunch of vatos with tattoos
I have seen
of
it.
peacocks?
I have seen it, but I never knew what the fuck it meant.
Peacocks are from India. Why?
Yeah.
Where is flamenco from? The gypsies. And where are the gypsies from? India.
Really?
It's an echo, bro. We didn't even know it, but that's why I want to do a homenaje a los gitanos de los Chicanos.
Okay.
With a peacock on my hood.
So that's going to be painted?
Yeah, it's going to get painted, man. And
so I'm going to try to get, when you get pictures, send them my way. I'll put them out on the cast.
I'd love it if you did, man. Because to me, it's an echo. And it's also a homenaje. You know what? I make my living based on the fact that somebody passed this down the line.
Right.
And thank you to the Lord it came my way. Because you know what? I would have been a really terrible banker. And I wouldn't have been a very good worker, man. Like, I tried roofing, and I
think you would have killed it as a podcaster or radio guy, bro. Come on.
I would have liked that, man. Yeah, well, you know. Let me know. You got an opening, man. I'll bring you back on, I'll mix your sound for you.
Yeah, for sure. No, so far, everything's working, but I couldn't seem to get the fucking headphones to work.
Well, I think it's working now.
No, well, I can hear me, but I still can't hear you.
Oh, I hope I'm coming out. But if not, either way.
No, you are coming out for sure, but I just can't hear. Yeah, he's... Just kidding, he's off. No, we had some issues when we first started, and we got it rolling. But I think what would be really good for you too is something like I don't know, man, like doing fucking something with kids, like teaching kids this kind of stuff that you've got, because this is some knowledge. Like, it's interesting to me. So I moved from Kansas when I was like 7. Okay, and I was born here, but we moved out, then moved back. So when we moved back here, nobody taught me a lot of stuff, and so things like you're telling me, like just little stuff like lowriders, I always thought like danger. You know what I mean? That was kind of the culture that I was always that I was always seeing it as, coming from middle of fucking Kansas nowhere. I thought danger, you know.
Right.
And some of my
there's
best.
a reason for that too. I mean, that's supposed to be there, right?
Well, and then also the media kind of portrays them that way. Right. You know what I mean?
Right.
And
but I mean, that was like lowrider culture came out of the Pachuco movement in the 40s. That's where the word Chicano came from.
Yeah.
That's where lowriders came from.
Right. Okay.
And the lowriders, man. You know, back in you know about the Zoot-suit riots in L.A.?
Yeah.
Okay, well, you know, soldiers, Navy, a lot of Navy guys especially were commissioned and not quite deputized officially, but they were commissioned and encouraged to join the police in getting Chicanos wearing zoot suits who love to dance the jitterbug and live in their own hood and do their own thing. They were encouraged to beat up, to totally violate these Zoot-suiters. They were ripping off their clothes, cutting them off with knives.
See, I didn't know
they were cutting their long hair with switchblade knives.
Wow.
They were leaving them naked in the streets, arresting them in masked, just arresting hundreds of guys per night and shoving them in a cell and laughing at them, leaving them in the drunk tank all night, giving them charges, ruining their lives, sending them to prison because they said, these guys are dangerous. And so, the way I hear the story is, all these guys were jumping into these late 40s eras cars because it was no longer safe to walk in the streets. So if you had to go to the dance, you were going to all pile into Dad's car.
Right.
And it was a used 49 Fleet Line or something like that. And when that car was loaded with people, it creeped all the way down to the ground.
Lowrider.
So then people got that vibe of a bunch of Zoot-suiting Pachucos rolling up in their low-riding car.
Bro, I didn't know this.
And there you
That's
go,
awesome.
brother. That's where that vibe comes from. Well, that's also a vibe of like, there's a bunch of us in here. You commissioned person.
Yeah.
You're not going to mess with us. And we have a tough look because of resistance.
Right.
Because people were being terrorized, man.
Right. And when you say it like that,
ultimately being victimized in the streets.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Man,
So,
for sure.
I mean, that's a big vibe, man. That's a big part of it. Anyway, so how does low riding and flamenco and all this go together? Why? Because now we took it away from the gatekeeper in New York, or the millionaire in North Carolina,
right,
or the California authority on everything that should be Spanish, and we said it's not exactly that anymore. It's now a whole different form.
Return to his roots.
It's ours.
Yeah.
And you know what we do with it? We share it with everybody. We're now singing it. It's now part of our ceremony.
Yeah.
It's part of our burials, part of our birthday parties, part of our baptisms, part of our wedding, part of who we are.
What do you foresee the future holding? Let's say that one of these ReVoZo songs ends up going super viral. What do you think would happen with that? Do you think there'd be like a big revival? Like people would try to jump onto that? Like, do you think? I guess maybe I angled that question wrong. Let me correct it.
Yeah.
What if? Could you see that there is more to come? Like more interest in that? Like if there was a bigger platform to maybe have this music out there. You know what I mean?
You know who I hope to reach is some little preem who fell in love with flamenco and is looking for his own stuff.
Yeah.
Because imagine I go back to my own stuff to find who I am. Like I go back to those John Robb recordings. I go to Cipriano Vigil. I go to my ancestors and find out what songs they were singing and find out how to relate.
Yeah.
Imagine if somebody actually did the work of taking those songs and putting them in a flamenco form and shape that could plug in directly to the dance.
Right.
So then all of a sudden we have the big book, but with our own lyrics in it.
It's almost like the 2020 version of the big book.
That's what it would be.
Right.
That's what I want, man.
I like that.
And I don't want to be an authority of any sort, but I want to be a source to somebody.
Yeah.
And not to mention the fact that I also think that, you know, we also... I'm talking about these echoes that are following us around, that guide us, that remind us. I want to be an echo for somebody. If I could help somebody, lead them in musically, or you know what, inspire somebody who's a hip hop artist or a rapper, or maybe there's a song form that doesn't exist yet,
right? And
they want to bite into my stuff a little bit. Hey, you can have it, man.
Right.
To my little homie in the future, welcome. You found this podcast, man. Look in the archives. It's called Entre Guitarra y Tombe.
So
maybe nobody else in the world will listen to that recording.
Yeah.
But that one little preem.
Yeah.
And I bet he's going to have some beautiful mixed blood, man, by, you know, in the next 50 years.
Well, what do you think?
He's going to be like everybody on the planet is going to be in that kid.
Yeah.
And he'll also be a Chicano because we're mixed too. And he'll have a source to go back to somebody who was alive and left a recording for them to take.
Right.
And then do his own.
Be like 40 years ago, this man named Vicente changed my life.
Well, no, let's say like 70 years ago.
Right.
That way I won't be alive anymore. That way when that guy's
you want to be all old and
gets,
busted? Like, don't talk to me.
Yeah, when his life gets ruined, they can't blame me.
Yeah.
Or at least they can't find me.
Fuck, I had a question and I lost it. Oh, that's what I was going to say. So we're talking very strongly about seeing you and interacting with you. You just played a show on the 22nd. My dumbass was busy. I couldn't break off to go see it. But where do you play locally in Albuquerque? I don't want to miss that. Where do you play? Okay. Where could we see you?
Sure. I'm at the Hotel Albuquerque.
Okay.
Tablao Flamenco de Albuquerque. I'm there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday all year round.
Okay.
And I mean, I'm touring a lot less. My dad passed away. He went on to be with the Lord in July.
Oof,
And
sorry,
so I moved back to New Mexico. I stopped touring a lot since he had started getting sick. He lived to be 88 years old.
Wow.
And he's a great beacon in my life, man.
Yeah.
I just follow every memory I have of him, and I feel what it was like to, when I would ride with my dad and my uncles and all of our best friends, and we all were on horseback together. That's the way I want to feel when I'm charging forward with a flamenco troupe facing the audience. I want to feel like we're riding
fucking
up,
huge,
man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you've seen that scene on I forget the name of the movie, but Billy the Kid's in it. And Young Guns.
Yeah,
You know, when all
yeah.
those locos are riding forward.
Of course.
I felt that way before, man.
Yeah, I mean, you can't.
And I feel that way every time I sit with my cuadro in flamenco. Your flamenco group is called your cuadro. And when I'm sitting at the beginning of the show and I look at my cuadro, my 3 dancers to the side, my homeboy guitarist on the left, and a percussionist, and we're all looking forward, I feel like we're young guns, man. and we're riding up,
That's
man.
awesome, dude.
And we're riding up to serve it up
Yeah.
to whoever wants some, you know.
Well, you guys are having you're kind of having a streak, because I think that somebody even recommended me. I've been friends with you on Facebook for a while. But
yeah.
I had somebody recommend a show to me, and I was like, oh, I know this guy. I was like, I've been wanting to bring him on the podcast for a
thank
while.
you.
Yeah, dude.
Thank you, man. And ReVoZo it comes from the word overflow, like brimming. You know, when you boil your steel cut oats.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you because you look all ripped, bro. And just for you listeners, this dude is really ripped. I thought he was gonna jack me at the beginning of this.
I just run, bro. This is what's left
Okay.
after I burn it all off.
All right. Well, your steel cut oats boil
appreciate it,
over.
bro. Yeah.
But that happens
Yeah.
when we're completely filled with the Spirit, man. And it happens in gospel tradition. It happens. It's called duende.
You just went
in
religious with flamenco, bro.
Oh,
I'm
it
proud of
is,
you on
man.
that.
It's
That was awesome how you
in
did
no
that.
uncertain terms, bro.
Yeah.
It's the most pure thing. That's where all of that stuff that you call the imposter syndrome falls away.
Yeah.
What brims over the top? That's too heavy. The ego, the jealousy, the hate, the covetousness, the racism, all that stuff that the human condition has weighed us down with.
Yeah.
It can't exist in that foam that brims over the pot.
Damn.
All of that stuff that brims over the pot, it's just us, man. It's the truth. Damn. Sometimes there's not even anything in this world that can be so free as the Spirit, man. That's why people play music. I mean, why? What a weird thing. Like, I could see if I was a chef, because people got to eat to live.
Yeah.
But we would starve if we didn't have music.
Right.
And we didn't have art, and we didn't have this deeper expression,
No, I
because
agree with
our
that.
souls need to be fed.
Absolutely.
Man.
Well, you need expression
And if you
in
don't
ways
feed it
that-
with something, you'll feed it with something else.
Right.
I try to avoid negative people, man. Some people, I find out how negative they are, and they have the right. But you know what? I hide, bro.
But those negative people may not have found the right fucking music or the right outlet, whatever that may
Hey,
be.
man, if I could-
chefing,
yeah,
or
exactly.
music, whatever,
Oh, yeah.
in order to express whatever they actually feel or what they feel they represent.
Yeah,
Maybe they're
well,
not
you know,
seeing that in the
I
reality
think
they
that I
live.
think that they're weighed down with those things that we're talking about. And everybody's weighed down with it. It's whether you have a source or not.
Yeah.
And everybody has theirs. I have mine, man. That's it.
And so you guys, the Cuadro plays Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday at Hotel Albuquerque, Tablao Flamenco.
Okay.
Yeah, man.
And
And then we're going to be at the Hispanic Cultural Center. I forgot to tell you.
Okay.
So here's where I'm trying to go with this, man.
Okay.
ReVoZo is we're a band directed by Cesar Bavalé.
Okay.
He's the leader and founder of the Son Como Son Salsa band.
Okay.
He's also, this is not my opinion, in the opinion of the greatest musicians I've ever worked with, he's one of the greatest musicians and conductors, composers, because he can write music on sheets, and he's one of the greatest musicians
One of those legit dudes.
on the planet.
Really?
Yeah.
So this is the guy that directs ReVoZo.
Yeah, I don't even direct my own band. I'm a singer. I only do what he says, and I
Yeah.
only do that because I trust that.
Hey,
man.
that makes it easier, bro. Why
Hey,
not?
you know what? There's guys who are supposed to be directors. I'm
Right.
not there.
Right.
I don't care to be there.
Yeah.
I want to be a good singer.
Right.
Cesar sees the whole picture at once. So that band, ReVoZo, has got flamenco guitar, has flamenco percussion. It's got salsa players who can play any music on the earth. We are now contracting ourselves out, like the young guns, for flamenco dance. So now, I mean, there's
Like
not,
regulators,
there's,
mount
yeah,
up.
well, you know what? Yeah, we're a posse, man.
Yeah.
And now Hijastros, who's the national company out of Albuquerque, I've worked with them since I learned with Hijastros.
Yeah.
I learned how to sing because of them.
Wow.
But I mean, I'm their longest standing member of all of the dancers.
Wow.
I'm the last one, man. Now there's new ones and better ones or whatever, but I'm the
you're
oldest
an OG.
one.
You're an OG.
I'm the OG.
Dude, I literally had a question that was like, are you one of the OGs in New Mexico? That's awesome. You answered that.
Ask it again.
So after all of the things you've done and the things that you've achieved in your life, still to this day, are you considered one of the OGs of flamenco vocals in New Mexico?
I gotta say it like this.
Hold on, he's putting the glasses on.
Simón que sí ese.
My dog. No, I mean, I haven't found another authority comparatively to you, at least not publicly facing. I mean, there may be some guy that's doing it without a single person hearing it, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
oh, man.
You know, the fact that you're taking it and you're trying to, like, I like people like you that are going out and try, just like Moises, you know, he's trying to teach people about something that there's almost not, I would have never fucking known about any of the stuff that you're talking about or the stuff that Moises talks about. I'm gonna terrorize it. Not Genizaro, but Genízaro.
Yeah.
I would have never known about that stuff, and then how those things tie together, even with your addition to that, unless you guys had come out and actually said it. And then beyond that, you don't have that imposter syndrome, apparently. I mean, you may, and that's the thing that, again, that's something that you are actively daily trying to overcome and/or are, you know, it's there, but you're not treating it as a weakness.
It's something you want to always keep close.
Okay.
That imposter syndrome is your best friend. It's like having motion sensors outside your house.
I like that.
When the creeps show up, it sees them before you do.
Right.
And when you have that syndrome, it makes you very aware of what doesn't belong there, man.
Damn, that's heavy.
And so, yeah, no, I'm glad for that,
You're turning
man.
some shit in my head now.
Oh, it's true, though, man. And one shout out to Moise. ¿Qué hubo? Okay, thanks,
Hey,
man.
bro, I'm coming for you. I got to get you on the show. I want to read his book first, and I haven't gotten around to buying his book. I told him, I said, I don't want to bring you on until I read the book.
He is a book, man. He's the book.
Oh,
You
yeah,
just have him on your show, man.
Harvard educated.
Just have him on your show.
Yeah,
he is the book, man.
Is he? No, I'm going to bring him on. I'm coming for you, brother. I hope to have you on soon.
Another
man.
person I think would be good for your show is Levi Romero.
Okay.
He's the new and only and first New Mexico Poet Laureate.
Ooh.
And his poem is the one on that video that you're going to have on your link here.
Okay.
ReVoZo. Those aren't my lyrics. Those are his. That's his poetry. And it's done in northern New Mexico dialect.
Wow.
What we call manito.
Damn.
Did you know that
That's
northern
like
New
some
Mexico
beans.
people are called manitos? And
Say it again?
Manito.
Manito. Is that
like
little
like
hands?
your family in Santa Fe? They're from the manito culture.
Okay. But it has nothing to do with manos, like hands.
Yeah,
okay.
mano, but like it's more like hermano.
Okay.
Because
okay.
we would always call each other, "Hey, manito."
Yeah.
Or we still do.
Yeah.
Also, to address an elder, you would say Mister or Don.
Okay.
You would say mano. Like I would be Mano Vicente.
Okay.
Mano Juan. Mano.
So it's like short for hermano.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so then people would hear us talking and say, "Oh, like in northern New Mexico, people would all go and travel with everybody else to do migrant work and pick the potatoes."
Yeah.
And all of us would show up in a truck and they'd say, "Oh, here comes the manitos," because we all call each other. So, in academic circles, our people from the north of New Mexico are called Los Manitos.
Los Manitos.
Moises will tell you that. He's a manito, too.
I'm gonna have to. Everything that you say, I just hear the Vicente voice behind it.
Oh, I
Los
want you to tell.
manitos.
I want you to tell. Yeah, tell Moises when you see him. Tell him. So, what is a manito? Don't even tell him I said it.
Okay.
Just watch when he starts chewing the side of his gums because he'll get all happy.
All right, sounds good, man. No, I think this is really good stuff, man. I like the fact that you're out here teaching people even without meaning to teach people. I know that you do. Like,
well, you know what?
You pass
Actually,
that knowledge on without knowing it.
I do teach people, man, because I teach kids. I have a class on Saturdays at the National Institute of Flamenco.
No shit.
And it's called Fun Class.
Okay.
I don't even want to give it a name yet. I want it to be Fun Class. And of course, if you hang out with me, it's going to be flamenco oriented.
Yeah.
But sometimes I go in and I'm like, Daddy needs a nap. And I take a 30-minute nap in Fun Class. And the kids can do whatever they want. But they're around.
You're the best teacher.
Yeah. and sometimes they'll sing under their chairs.
Huh.
Sometimes they feel like telling stories. Like one guy, I'll be singing like, "All right, everybody, here's the rhythm. Un, do, un, do." And the kid will raise his hand and he'll say, there's a dragon. There's different species of dragons, but the one I really think is funny, I just found out about another dragon, and it's called what did he tell me? It's some dragon that's shaped like a gourd, and he has a really fatter belly. It's a swamp dragon. And if they get confused and they eat their food in the wrong order, they'll explode. Because you know how dragons have to breathe fire? They're really dangerous.
And he's doing this while you're singing.
Oh, yeah, no, and I'm like, okay, fun class, hold on.
Yeah.
That's the lesson. So, Dragon Boy.
Yeah,
tell
come
me
draw
more.
it on the board.
So, Dragon Boy will tell me all about his dragons. And then there's his sister, and her favorite thing to talk about are ducks.
Okay.
And she tells us about her. She calls herself a duck lover. All the kids now have a nickname.
Okay.
And so to me, that's the way the voice has always been passed on. Is, you know, these flamenco families, nobody sat down and did a lesson.
Right.
They sat down and had dinner.
Open your textbook to flamenco page number 73.
Exactly. Yeah. No, they said, hey, pass me the potatoes.
Yeah.
Hey, how was your day? Hey, what
Yeah.
do you call that dragon again, kid?
Yeah.
And so I'm like, you know what? We're going to sit at
That
my
is a very
table.
interesting way that you put that. Like, you're
Yeah.
essentially like talking about how to actually teach kids by engaging them rather than just like throwing a textbook at them.
Well, you know
what I mean?
I believe in el ambiente because
Yeah.
there's a word in Calón, and it is sonakai. Sonakai.
Sonakai.
That's
that doesn't
gold.
even sound Spanish.
Yeah, well,
it almost sounds like Asian.
It's out of Sanskrit.
Sanskrit. Damn.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's out of Gypsy dialect.
It's like all of the mother language there.
Yeah, oh, that's old school. You
Yeah,
want to talk
yeah,
about
yeah.
old OG?
Yeah.
Talk about original Gypsy.
Okay.
So Sanskrit, sonakai.
Okay.
Now you want to hear it Spanishized, soniquete.
Okay.
Soniquete is what all flamenco artists seek. It's all we really want. Like what I call the ReVoZo, the overflowing, that groove, that flow. It's called soniquete.
Soniquete.
And soniquete is a mix of the word sonakai, gold, and ete is a reference to anything that has to do with ambiance or ambiente or atmosphere.
Huh.
So the ambiance of gold, you only have that when you're sitting down. And by family, I mean the people you love the most.
Right.
And you don't have to worry about what you say being wrong.
Right.
You don't have
They
that.
see the chinks in the armor. They know about those
They
chinks
know
in
it.
the
There's
armor. Sure.
those chinks are they can't hurt you.
Right.
Because everybody has the same ones.
Yeah.
From the same incident.
Right. It's more of a joke than it is
Yeah.
anything else. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, soniquete is el amor entre la familia. The
Okay.
love in the family when you're at the table.
Right.
And you know, one person's talking and the other person interrupts and then everybody says, it's not like that. And then 1, 2, 3, everybody laughs together.
Right.
How stupid if I were to write that script and have everybody say, okay, you say it, you contradict him, and then you interrupt and say, it wasn't like that, and we'll count 3 beats, and everybody laugh. 1, 2, 3.
It wouldn't be realistic.
That's so lame.
Yeah.
That's what you call no soniquete.
Okay.
Soniquete is when that laughter bursts out on its own, and the laughter is the ReVoZo.
Wow.
So soniquete.
So I'm looking for Soniquete on every podcast.
Absolutely. You want soniquete.
I got you.
You want duende.
Okay.
You want the spirit to be free, man.
Sure.
And that happens when you create that environment, and I know that about you. That's good, man.
You have to, yeah.
And that's what I want for the kids, because what did you do to deserve to be born? Like when you were a baby in your mama's panza, did you work hard? Did you lift
No.
weights? Did you
Nah.
like meditate? And,
Bug
no.
the fuck out of her.
You know what you did? Not even that. You didn't do anything.
Right.
You were in the right environment.
Right.
That's how I want these kids to learn.
Oh, I like how you put
Because
that.
flamenco was born in the caves.
Do you practice
in the
this shit at all,
mines.
Vicente? Don't lie to me, bro.
I live it, bro. I live it, ese, all the way. But
That's
I'm
heavy.
serious about that. No, funny
No,
joke aside,
no,
man.
for sure.
You
No,
don't really believe that you
I
gotta
have
sit
3
at
kids,
the
bro.
table?
I like how you put that because I think that's very strong is to impress upon a kid without trying to lay it out and so many pieces. Like you said, you couldn't script that conversation that you had at the table with your family. A lot of times I can't get through to my kids if I'm trying to come at them the way that their school teachers are.
Yeah.
You know, and the whole
well,
job
there's
of
a place
parent
for
or
that
to
too,
be
right?
Yeah.
But by the time I get them, they come out of dance class. Where, you know, you can't do a dance class that way because
Yeah.
they're wearing steel nails on the bottoms of their shoes.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm teaching scante. That's a whole other lifestyle,
Right.
man. You know, like I think to myself, well, okay, you got to be kind of a jackass. You got to be a little bit of a vagabond.
Yeah.
You got to be a little bit impulsive and OCD at the same
Sure.
time. How do you teach that? Well, fun class.
Right.
Be who you are.
Yeah.
What did Plato say? Know thyself.
I love it. And you kind of just extrapolate like your lifestyle and kind of just show them like, this is how I am, take it or leave it. Right?
That's exactly
kinda,
right.
I like how you say
and,
that.
and that's the cool thing about fun class, man, is like to me, life is fun class. It's
Yeah.
become that way. You know what I mean? I mean, if you want to know something, this whole notion of asking a question and getting an answer, man, has always been something that I don't understand, man. I didn't know. admire that, but that's not going to get you into soniquete mode.
Right.
You know, and this whole idea, you know, sometimes, I was starting to tell you about the people in Santa Fe that come up after a show and say, I really wish, I like your show, but I first of all, I want you to explain to me what all the lyrics mean. Whereas you told me, I went to your show and I got goosebumps.
Yeah.
And I felt it. You know what? Your story is the most important thing that you need to consider when you hear my singing.
Yeah.
Not my words.
Right.
Because even if you hear an English song, you don't know all the words anyway either.
Right.
What matters is,
you
just like when you look at any piece of arte, you look at a piece of art and you got to run it through your memories. You got to look at a lowrider and you got to run it through what you remember, what you feel. It doesn't matter if that vato explains this came from my grandpa and my dad passed it down, and then this embellishment here remind me of like some cool Baroque embellishments, and that reminds me of gypsy people. No.
Yeah.
You got to look at that and say, man, that's beautiful.
Connect it to yourself.
That reminds me of something that I thought was done really well, but maybe it's not even cars, but I feel something when I see that because I've lived my own experience.
Right.
Anyway, we're on another
and you get
subject,
those chills. And you get those chills. That's what we're talking about, is those chills.
Let's not limit this work to words.
Yeah.
And also, don't think you have the privilege of not knowing a language and just coming up and extracting poetry from a singer
just
who just sang a whole show so you can understand something.
Well, you're kind of
whitewashing
it again. Yeah.
You can't, man. And it's not the opera. You don't get a score in. You know what? When I go to the opera, I don't read the words.
Really?
When I go to an opera, I wonder what the words might have been.
Yeah.
Because I realize those words, I don't know those words.
Well, you watch the passion on those guys, and
you
there's some of them they'll just
listen and you know what, pick up what you can, and then I don't get limited to the little screen at the bottom of you know. I forget
you're
what
watching
that's
the
called,
performance.
I'm watching the show and feeling it.
I like
running
how you
it
put
through
that.
my own experiences. I mean, the guy's facing a woman and he's going,
yeah.
Well, you need to read that means I love you.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Or he's pissed off because she cheated on him or whatever the story
you can see
is.
that one too.
Yeah,
that sounds more like this.
They hold it out and write it.
Yeah.
They write it. Do you do anything like that? Do you do any sort of operatic stuff? Like, I guess we haven't touched on that. Did you get any sort of professional singing?
Well, you know, I did. I got a lot from the professional flamenco singers that I toured with.
Yeah.
And a lot of the people that I got to work with as a singer when I wasn't even, I'm still not even worthy to work with some of the guys I work with. No, serio.
Come on.
There's some giants, man. There's some giants out there, and it doesn't matter where you're from.
Maybe they just had a better agent.
Well, maybe they just got told what direction to go before it was time, man. And some were born into it. I mean, there's some singers that I admire so much that just they were born into it, and they got lucky. They got their growth right away. I got lucky, man.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, you know Felix y los Gatos, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So they've been on the podcast.
Oh.
Yeah. So I've had him and David on, and they both were like, I was blown away. Like, that's the success story, bro. To hear that they're like traveling musicians, like doing some roots kind of music, and
I think Felix is even my primo, man.
I think I want to say that through Felix, I probably found Moises, and then I think I found you through Moises.
Yeah,
so I would just see you guys all doing some shit.
I would like to be down that line.
Yeah,
man. Yeah. Los Gatos, another shout out to those brothers.
Those guys are badass.
So I did a couple seasons in some shows off of Santa Fe Opera.
Okay.
And I got to ask, besides, like I said, Veneno, El Pelete, professional flamenco singers, Chuscales, flamenco guitarists, my cousin Ricardo, people who I came up with who taught me down the road in flamenco anyway, and people before that, like my grandfather or singers like my uncles or even like my dad, watching my dad deal with the horse or dealing with the community or even the way he would carry a shovel, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Those are my teachers.
Yeah.
But also, other professional singers like opera singers, I got to ask some very specific questions, and I remember deciding I was not going to be ashamed anymore to ask what I didn't know, especially with opera singers. Because those guys have it measured down to a science.
Right.
It's really like operatic technique can set you free if you can unlearn a lot of it.
Right.
And this leads you of how I ended up becoming a teacher.
Okay.
So I was in Hobbs, New Mexico, with Laemi, my goddaughter, and she got a contract. She does a show at the lodge in Santa Fe.
Okay.
She's all summer long. And anyway, she got a job teaching kids in Hobbs and brought me along to be an accompanist for their classes, play guitar and sing, and you can be kind of the musical backup. And so I got there. She started doing their stretching and doing some of the, and of course the girls wanted to dance and the boys were dancing but sitting down, didn't want to do anything.
Yeah.
And I looked at her. I said, "Hey, let me take these guys to the side. I'm bored here, man." And so are they. And she goes, "Take them. These boys you are all distracting." So I took them to the side. And I taught them to sing one of their favorite grandfather's favorite corridos or rancheras. Okay. It was a José Alfredo Jiménez song from Mexico. Also one of the greatest writers on the planet.
Yeah.
So I got them to sing that. And then I fed in a flamenco beat. See, I'm doing the same thing over and over again. Yeah. And I threw the flamenco beat on it and followed the chords and then kept the rhythm. And before they knew it, I switched the lyrics to flamenco song, and they didn't know that that's what they were singing.
Huh.
So the principal from that school walked in and said, "Wait a second, what are you doing?" I said, "Oh, we're singing. I'm sorry. Is it a problem?" He said, "Everybody's singing. All the boys are singing." I said, "Well, yeah, that's right.
That was the purpose." Yeah.
He said, "Do you want to come back and teach? Because the Santa Fe Opera lost their contract over here.
Wow.
Because they couldn't get the boys to sing. They couldn't get anybody to sing.
Because they were in their lane. They didn't know how to step out of it.
Because, you know, you're a kid who's going, oh,
right.
Me. And that's, but imagine you're singing your grandfather's favorite song
you made that
he would sing when he was drunk.
Connection. Yeah.
And you say, wait a second, this is cool.
Yeah.
Ando volando bajo, mi amor está por los suelos, y tú tan alto y tan alto. And the kids start singing on the top of their lungs, man, because they got buy-in. Because that first time I did it, their parents walked in and sang along with them, bro.
Dude.
So now I get, thank you to the Lord, man. I got a cool contract teaching kids in Hobbs, flamenco music and song.
That's huge.
6 weeks per semester.
Wow.
Weird, man. I'm like living in Hobbs these days, man. And my goddaughter goes in and teaches the dance. And my homie Josh Vigil, a really good flamenco guitarist, goes in and teaches them guitars. You know that somebody bought that program? 25 guitars and said, "Can you guys," because, you know, the oil rigs are there. And there was one guy who said, "Man, everybody's just taking from these kids, man. They're just working their parents. And no, let's get the kids something. What do you guys want?"
Yeah.
Somebody at that school, and I can tell you his name, it was this 21st Century grant, said, "I want flamenco guitars, or I want guitars for the kids."
Yeah.
So then they got to hire teachers with this grant, right? So we teach them guitar, singing, and dance, and we put a show in a theater the size of Pope Joy Hall.
Wow.
In Hobbs every 6 weeks.
Oh, that's huge.
So we do 3 schools per 3-week session, and at the end of the 3 weeks, we put up a show.
Bro, I didn't know any of this.
The songs I teach them, but I get the buy-in because I teach them José Alfredo Jiménez. So you got to get them where they're at.
Yeah.
Just like me. You know what? That's why this flamenco that existed before with all these gatekeepers from New York and North Carolina and Santa Barbara and all these other places, they didn't get what we'd got.
Right.
We get them where they're at because we are where they're at.
And then you guys are also part of that world, which is a big difference from those gatekeepers because they kind of got it
right
a little bit differently.
They locked their doors when the people like me walked by their house.
Yeah.
And now we see people like me walk by and we're like, "Hey, come on in, sing flamenco with me, man." You know, it's a different thing, and I'm grateful to them. You know what? I toured this country because of them, man. They hired me, and I went in. I observed very carefully. Man, I'm walking in Cambridge, and I'm going into this mansion, man.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, man, when you're in Santa Fe and you're on Canyon Road, and I walk by your car, I always hear your locks go click, click, click.
Yeah. Or in Foothills. And
now you're letting me into your Cambridge house,
right.
And I'm standing by your silverware.
Right. Talk to me about this impersonator syndrome again.
Hey, man, you know what? That's knowing who they are syndrome.
Yeah, for sure.
They're the impersonators.
For sure. I totally get you.
And I can see right through them, man. You know, but it's something that it's an interesting thing, right? We carry the one guy on the right and the one guy on the left, right? And I got to have them fight all the time because sometimes the one who's telling you to do the wrong thing is right.
Right.
Like the one who says, "Sing now, hit it."
Yeah.
And you're thinking, wait, that's weird. He's like, do it.
Yeah.
And you do. You gotta silence the one who's logic and really watching out for your well-being.
They may
saying,
not like you.
Well, right,
mean?
no, or they will love you, but this is not appropriate for that now.
Sure.
Now's not the time.
Yeah. Like if you busted out here in this coffee shop.
Yeah. Or at the top of a balcony before a show.
Yeah.
Before the show even
I think
starts.
the space would be too small for you, bro.
Oh, man. Oh, yeah. Weren't you going to ask me about that? Do we need mics?
Oh, yeah. So that was one of the questions I posed to Vicente before we turned on. It was, do you need a microphone doing what you do? Because I have yet to see you live, but just your voice, the way it is here, I can tell it's very loud. Like, I've got to push to get up to this sound to where I'm microphone ready.
Well, first of all, let's remedy the first situation. Okay. You're going to come this weekend to my show.
Okay.
You let me know what night, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday.
Okay.
If you want to bring your kids, it's at 6 at Hotel Albuquerque, Tablao Flamenco de Albuquerque.
I'm there.
And you can experience that for yourself. Now, the question about do I need a mic?
Yeah.
Yes. Or like I said before.
With the glasses this time.
Simón que sí. And the reason is the human voice is made out of a little thin fiber that the wings of butterflies are made out of.
Damn.
I sing for dancers who have 2 feet that are bottomed with nail iron pieces for the percussive sound. And above their ankles are these horse legs. And sometimes there's 6 of them on stage at once. So that's 12 of those things firing percussively through the floor all over my voice.
Man, I never thought of that.
So for my voice to be heard while they're singing and to be able to see the voice it's the wind that blows the sails. The dancers are the boat. And I can't get there without that, man, because they're too strong.
Yeah.
That's one part of it. The other part is the guitar is a very quiet instrument. So for it to be heard even without the dancers has to be amplified.
Sure.
So now
and then you need to go with it.
Now I'm buried under the dancers and an amplified guitar.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do absolutely
Spoken like
need
a true vocalist, bro.
Yeah.
So I didn't tell you about this because it's not near the same wheelhouse at all. But I used to be in a metal band, so I learned how to scream properly without losing my voice.
Yeah, good.
And using the proper vocal technique because there is technique to that.
Diaphragmatic engagement.
Exactly. And you use your shit
that'll
muscles.
Save your life.
You use your secondary vocals and your secondary vocal
and you
cords.
Relax them.
You relax and you push. You project over the pencil in your mouth.
Yeah.
You really project it and you
push
do it
the
correctly.
pencil down.
Yeah, and you can actually do it forever. I mean, you can literally scream forever and not lose your voice.
That's
where
true.
Somebody seeing it from the outside perspective, even like somebody that would want to try to take on the level of singing that you do, they would think that it would blow their voice out.
Right.
But if you do it correctly, you won't.
And isn't that interesting that we already knew that until we started just for some reason we forgot how to breathe at a certain age.
Sure.
Because a baby lays on their back and their stomach rises, not their chest.
Right.
That's the first thing in singing.
Right.
The other thing is when you get mad or your horse is running away and you got to get it back and you go, caballo!
Yeah.
You don't think about it, but you engage perfectly.
Yeah. To be able to
train ourselves
push out there.
to just go back to the beginning again.
I never thought of that.
You know, it's all about. I mean, we were already made right.
Yeah.
Somehow society taught us to not really reach in there anymore.
That was the hardest thing for me, was getting it out of my belly, because I didn't realize how much tension I carried there. Because you're nervous,
the tension's
and
bad,
you're this,
man.
and
That's why you can't have doubt when you sing.
Right.
I mean, that's why by the time I sit down to sing, have you ever been sitting at a swimming pool and somebody splashes you and you're like, man, you wet my pants, or you know what? Imagine if you took a dip in all your clothes and all your shoes and somebody pours a whole cup of water on your head. Do you care?
No.
It's a joke. You don't care anymore.
Yeah.
So that's why before I sing, like you keep talking about the imposter syndrome, I don't have that because you know what? I dove into it and I swam in it before I sit down.
So they can keep throwing that water.
Yeah, do it. I already did it myself, man.
One thing I did not ask you, which I usually ask at the end, but you already got ahead of it, Vicente, so I appreciate that, bro. Of all these things that you've done, all these things that you've achieved, all these things you are doing, this greatness that you're pursuing, even if you may not think it's quite so great, I still think it's pretty badass, bro. Of course, that's why I brought you on.
Thank you, hermano.
Where is this going now? What's the next move for you? Because I'd looked for like a Vicente album and I didn't find it, but I did find some guest stuff. I saw that you were on a couple different artist stuff. There was Alex Krebs Quartet. Yeah. Listen to that. And then there was another one.
Yeah, that was a cool one. That was a tango flamenco fusion project.
Yeah, Alex.
And the video was pretty cool. Did you see that one?
No, I didn't.
It's a video on YouTube called, you look up Vicente Griego Bohemio.
Okay.
Bohemio, and you'll see a pretty crazy remix. It was a dubstep remix of a song I wrote with Alex Krebs, and he's out of Portland.
Okay, and that's like going into that whole... Say that. What was the name of it again?
It's called Bohemio, Bohemio, Bohemian, Bohemio.
Like Bohemian. So that's kind of tying back to the gypsy thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's a song that I wrote lyrics for with Alex Krebs and his orchestra.
Okay.
It was orchestrated in London, and I recorded my parts with him in Portland.
Oh wow.
So it's kind of and then the other one I'm on is Mariano Mancela, Tangos. It's on his CD. And I actually wrote a rap about his experience.
Really?
In Albuquerque. He lived in Barelas with me while he came to play flamenco guitar for this festival. And so he said, man, I really want it to be, flamenco, but I want it to be kind of rap. And I want it to be in flamenco Chicano dialect.
Damn.
Kind of what they talk with you guys in your neighborhood. Yeah. Can you do that?
A hybrid of a hybrid
of
a
yeah,
hybrid.
Yeah. I said, oh man, I sure do. Well, I mean, I make my living singing flamenco puro.
Okay.
But man, I'm really interested in just doing all the stuff we already do.
Yeah.
And that's where we're going with this.
Okay.
Is I'm going to keep on doing funk mixed with flamenco because I grew up with that and rap. It's on that Mariano Mancela CD. I'll send you a copy of that.
Yeah, dude.
It's on YouTube.
Anything you want to send me, I'm going to put it out. Like anything that he's mentioning, if I can get a hold of the link, I'm going to put it on the
other
different
thing
social
is,
media.
I'm going to keep on playing the guitar because I study the guitar because you know what? I have a responsibility to my family and to my town. I want to be able to sing and play guitar by myself without having to depend on somebody else to be around
to do that.
To sing Las Mañanitas to some newborn little baby or some elder who needs a birthday song, man.
Right.
My music belongs to the pueblo, and I want to keep on serving that. I'm not interested in selling 1 million CDs. I'm interested in singing to somebody's grandma.
Yeah.
I'm interested in serving my family with this music,
and sparking that fire with those kids in fun class.
They'll do that for me.
Yeah.
That's what I care about, man. And if something comes along, cool. But I mean, to be successful in the music business doesn't mean you sell 1 million CDs and be a millionaire.
Yeah.
You just get to receive what is provided to you from the Lord, man. I look at my book and I don't know where I'm going to be working in a month.
Yeah.
I've never known that. And I've never lacked anything.
Yeah.
And, we have a saying in northern New Mexico, and it's a Spanish saying, eres rico por lo que das, no por lo que tienes.
Okay.
You are rich for what you give, not for what you have. And so art is, if you're successful according to that, then you're rich because you give it away. You have something to offer. Art doesn't do any good if you just keep it in your house. Like it says, under a basket, under your bed. You should put it on the hilltop as a light or a beacon, right?
Yeah, show it.
That's what I want to. I want to follow that example.
I like that, man.
And that word. What I'm doing with ReVoZo is I want to keep on building this project. I want to make the Entre Tombe y Guitarra CD, and there's a whole mining form of songs in Spain that has its own tonality, its own rhythm, and it's a collection of poetry of people who basically like the chain gangs made the songs while they were working.
They live that life.
Well, in New Mexico, we already have mining lyrics. My grandfather, El Cartucho, was a miner, so I think about my family and what they went through and their dad who worked so hard just to keep them out of becoming a miner. And so I'm doing one of those tracks is these forms called tarantos cartageneras, tarantas mineras, the mining forms, and I'm going to be doing those with New Mexico lyrics, but made in the rhythm and melody of flamenco. So guess what? Anybody in the world can bite these lyrics and plug them in straight into a dancer anywhere in the world because it's going to pour into that vessel that is shaped the right way for my lyrics.
Dude, that's fucking cool.
That's where it's going,
That's
man.
really cool.
And then the band, that's just that. That's just...
Well, that makes sense because you were saying this earlier. You were talking about how you're plugging it kind of into like an algorithm almost.
Exactly, man. That's exactly what it is. It's an algorithm. I get it? And so then the other thing is the band. I want to keep ReVoZo moving. I want to get us into world music festivals, Latin festivals, flamenco festivals.
Yeah.
We pour into everything. And while I'm doing that, because that project is called ReVoZo Pa'lante y Pa'tras. Palante is when a singer and a guitarist, in the old days in Spain, they would sit at the front of the stage. That's the front, right? Palante.
Palante, okay.
And that's when you sing without a dancer. Y patras is when you sing for a dancer.
But you're behind.
My concept is that we're going to do some of it without a dancer, singing just music, and people they can dance on the dance floor.
Yeah.
And then we pull back, and the dancers, the flamenco dancers, come up and dance as a performance.
Damn.
And so I'm going to keep doing that and keep building it for flamenco companies to send me a score of music, and I will record it and sing it for you live, send you a recording to practice with. So I'm going to practice really just what we've been doing, like this Hijastro show at the National Hispanic Cultural Center coming up March 13th and 14th.
Okay.
And my band, ReVoZo, led by Cesar Babalé, is going to be playing for Hijastro's national company. So it's already happening.
That's huge, dude.
It's happening,
If
man.
you guys get a chance, make sure you listen to that ReVoZo. I'm going to put it out on my on YouTube. It's really cool. It's very hybrid. It's very much what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's
dude.
what it is.
Well, dude, I really appreciate you coming on,
Thank
man.
you
I've
for
learned,
having me, man.
I've learned so much. Like,
Hey,
it's
right
legitimately
on.
been a big learning
Well,
experience,
thank
and
you.
I
It's
hope
good to
everybody
meet
heard
you,
some
and,
stuff.
and thank you very much for having me on your podcast. I don't know if I've ever been on a podcast before,
No?
but
Shit, I'm
or
liking the sound of that,
not
bro.
like
I got
this,
you,
man. You know
popped
what I
your
mean?
cherry.
Hey, man, thank you. Well, good to meet you too.
Yeah, same here, bro. And we'll come by Friday or something and check you out for
Let
sure.
me know. Come by the Tablao,
Yeah.
Albuquerque de Albuquerque, and Hotel Albuquerque.
Yep, and see my boy Vicente. All right, man. I appreciate you.
Bueno,
Thank you.
See you
All
later,
right, buddy.
Oh, let's make the go. All right, here you go, everybody. Here's the sound of two new friends shaking hands. See you later. Hello and goodbye.
And goodbye, my friend.
Later, man.
Aloha, aloha.